It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here, Aunt Pruitt, Stacey Higginbotham, and of course we've gathered together to say goodbye to Larry Page and Sergey Brin, and hello to Sundar Pichai, the new CEO of Alphabet. What should Sundar's first steps be? We'll also talk about Amazon's re-event conference and all of the 28 new products Amazon announced. And it's a goodbye to an old friend, R.I.P. Lil Bub. All coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig, This Week at Google, episode 537, recorded Wednesday, December 4th, 2019, when GANs go wrong. This Week at Google is brought to you by Brave. Brave is the browser reimagined. Switch now to get unmatched speed and privacy, and stop trackers from following you. Save battery life and earn rewards by opting into privacy-respecting ads. Brave is free and easy to switch to. Go to brave.com/twit and switch to Brave today. And by Capterra. Find the right tools to make an informed software decision for your business. Visit Capterra's free website at capterra.com/twig. And by Metallic, a Commvault venture. Metallic provides enterprise-grade backup and recovery technology through simple SaaS delivery. To sign up for your free 45-day trial, go to metallic.io/twig. And for a limited time through December 31st, 2019, with a 1-year commitment, your first 3 months are free. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest news from the Googleverse. Aunt Pruitt's in studio with me. His Clemson Tigers are all set to play for the ACC Championship.
Yes, 12-0, baby.
Wow. That's even better than the 49ers.
Who were the 49ers? You mean University of Charlotte?
Yeah,
49ers?
them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, them. And is, of course, also in studio Twit host for FOP, which stands for Focus on Photography.
That's correct, sir.
And HOP, which stands for Hands on Photography. HOP's the short one.
That's correct.
Focus the round table.
That's right.
Also with us from the airport, I love this, Stacey Higginbotham. You're pulling a Jarvis.
I am. Although I'm in a really nice lounge.
It does look nice.
The Alaska N Gate Lounge at Seattle, it has a fireplace. It's kind of like the fancy lounge in Copenhagen.
Wow. Very nice.
For those of you guys who are lounge literate.
Well, and of course, no one is more lounge literate than our own Jeff Jarvis.
I know them all. I have privilege.
All the medallions.
all the medallions. Professor of Journalism at CUNY. I guess we got to start with the big change in leadership at Google and Alphabet. I guess Google's not going to change, but Alphabet is. Larry and Sergey, in their annual letter, announced yesterday that they're leaving, and they're going to let Sundar Pichai, who's done such a good job with Google over the last few years, take over as Alphabet's CEO. I have to say, I loved in Recode. I loved who was it? Your former colleague's post saying, "I don't think it's going to make any difference at all." Larry and Sergey have been so dialed out.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. What's the big point of this story? I know that they're the top two of Google
the
from
founders,
the very beginning.
21 years ago.
But at the same time, what exactly have they done for the last, let's say 5 years to where...
Well, they invested in a lot of stuff that may get killed now.
Well, yeah. But
from
Sergey for sure has not been very involved. Larry
he's been doing fun projects.
Yeah, he's been having a good time. Larry has a whole floor at the Googleplex. In fact, he was named in some of these Andy Rubin stories and some of the stories about the failure of Google Plus and so forth as being kind of instrumental in some of this stuff. So I think he has hands-on. Is his voice still gone? Is it back? He couldn't speak for a while.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, no, he did then speak at an I.O. where we were both, and he'd come back to an extent.
Remember that crazy talk that
it came back to a good extent.
Yeah. But I just wonder if one of the reasons we don't hear as much about him is because he's not a public...
I think he hated
the
public eye.
Right.
So a lot of the operational stuff, you still think they had their fingerprints on it?
Sergei, no.
I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think either of them really did. I know he had a floor, and he was probably doing visionary. This was all about the visionary moonshot stuff. He was really crazy that area. But I think it's been Sundar driving the big ship for a while.
Well, Google for sure, and Ruth Porat, the Alphabet CFO, has definitely had a hand in, making it a lean and mean company. Mm-hmm. I
wonder what the relationship is between her and Sundar.
That's a good question.
I'd imagine it's. I bet they're pretty. I would think they'd be pretty in line, because otherwise you wouldn't. One of them would be gone by now.
Correct me.
Both of them.
Good point.
Oh.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Sundar Pichai seems like a get-along guy. He seems like a very easygoing guy. I remember the only time I've ever had any dealings with him is when he was still in charge of Chrome OS, and the first C48 Chrome laptop came out, and he and I had a long talk where I was just saying, why would anybody want this? This is crazy. And he was, instead of getting mad and defending it, I thought he was very calm and level-headed and gave me some very cogent arguments about why they thought it was a good idea.
And now he's laughing at you.
It turned out he was completely right. So I'm impressed. I don't think he seems like the kind of guy who has any edge.
He's not imperial.
I've met Sundar before, and he is a delightful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've met both him. I've met Andy. Andy was very standoffish isn't the right word, but if you were not someone he thought he should talk to, he did not necessarily talk to you. Yeah. Sundar is a very warm human in person. Yeah. So that's...
Yes, he is.
My experience as well. Now, I have to point out... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, all right, I'll start. I have to point out that Larry and Sergei still have a majority of stock. They have
votes.
85% of the 51%. So they have, if Sundar does something they don't like, or the board does something they don't like, they're not ceding that kind of control.
I think they own 17% of the actual stock, but they have 85% of the 51% of the
So with that said, is anything going to change then?
Well, that's kind of, I guess, the question.
That's why I think what's in Alphabet.
No,
Sundar
I think it's
would
going to
think is silly.
Yeah, I think we'll see the continuing closure of things that aren't working.
Right.
But I think it's going to be pretty much business as usual. Maybe a little less hands-on and coddling of the employees. I think this might be a nice cultural and psychological break for the company. They've also didn't they cut back on the number of meetings and that sort of thing? I think this might be meeting. Yeah, so this could be a change in leadership, signifying a change in overall culture.
Well, it also comes at a very uncomfortable time for Google. They're under a microscope from Congress. They have employees who are unhappy. There are a lot of negatives right now at Google, and I don't know if Larry and Sergei are the type who don't engage in battles like that, but it doesn't seem like a coincidence that they're leaving. This is Peter Kafka's piece at Recode. He says, if you don't spend much time thinking about Google, this will sound like a big deal. On the other hand, it's very hard to say this will be meaningful for Google employees or anyone in the world who uses Google products, because Page hasn't been focused on Google's core search advertising business for a very long time. He managed a portfolio of what the company calls other bets. And by the way, I think this is what's going to end up being at risk. Businesses like Calico and Waymo. And I wonder if once Larry's protection is gone, if it's gone, it may not be gone, but if it's gone, if Ruth Porat and Sundar Pichai might say, well, we'd be a stronger company if we stuck to our knitting.
So I think
Google has to find out what its knitting. It's in the middle of trying to figure out what its knitting is going to be, as search, which is totally still relevant, but is going to become less relevant over time. Now that we embed computing in more places, if we look at the future of computing, Google is figuring out where it wants to be in that world is what it needs to do. And I don't think Larry was helping on the other bets. I think he was looking more at what's fun for him and what's interesting from his perspective. Yeah. So
I'd like to get your perspective on. So I just put up a list of the other bets. I'd be curious just to do a quick tour of them and see what your thoughts are. You mentioned X is just the Bell Labs of Google. I think they're going to keep that because it's fun. Waymo. Let's start there. I do think that there's still tops in that field. There's not a clear business there at all yet.
But it's such a tiny, tiny field, though.
Well, potentially huge. If all automobiles are self-driving in 5 or 10 or even 15 years, that's the next big thing for Google. Here's what Elon Musk has said, though, and I'm not sure he's wrong on this one. He says there's no such thing as a self-driving car software company. You have to make the cars and make the software, because the data that you get from making the cars, it informs the software. It's a virtuous cycle, and you can't do one without the other. So Musk is of the opinion, of course, he's got a car company, that self-driving vehicles are going to come from car companies, not from companies like Apple and Google. And this is the only reason I remember this is because this also comes up in the context of Apple. Like, can they really be a software self-drive? Don't they have to make a car?
Right.
And I don't, is Google going to manufacture a car? Or are they going to say, come along and partner with a car manufacturer like Ford? But
they are partnering with car manufacturers. Don't they have a deal with Chrysler?
Yeah, but is that the same thing?
Yes. I think car companies want to outsource this aspect of their innovation. Google's happy to be that partner for them. And I also would not discount the advantage that Google has from its other machine learning efforts and its Waze and other properties. So yes, I think there is definite data coming in off the car, but they can get that through their existing partnerships. And I think, I
second Stacey.
I know why Elon's saying that, because he's got this giant car company.
Yeah, he's got a car company. But I don't
think he's out of line saying that.
I don't think he's far wrong. In fact, remember,
it's a proper competitive thing to say, but I don't think he's. I don't think he's.
Steve Jobs always said that too. If you want to make great hardware, you got to make the software. It's got it.
Symbiosis.
There is something to be said for controlling the entire chain, and I think if Chrysler and Google try something, but it's head to head with, I don't know, VW Audi, where they're doing it all the full stack, that they may have a disadvantage. I don't know. You're right.
Yeah, I don't think Waymo is something you sell.
I wouldn't cut Waymo. They're not going
to sell it. You can't. I wouldn't cut it. I think it still has value. All right, Loon.
Yes, cut it. Loon is the
internet.
Loon is their high-flying internet, which was originally balloons. I don't know what they're using now, but
they actually just did two. They just announced some sort of deal in, I think it was Portugal or Brazil.
Huh.
Someplace that speaks Portuguese.
There you go.
It was the Amazon, actually.
Amazon, yes.
Florida.
But I got to tell you, that's not a big revenue generator. I don't know how many people there are in the Amazon, but I think it's more a proof of
when you
concept.
get to Africa,
then you got some.
You get to parts of India, you can get real kind of scale there and get people on. So I don't vote. I say hold on.
I say dump it.
I say it doesn't really matter. It's probably not a huge cost.
No, you can't do that. One or the other.
No, if I'm analyzing it, I would say it's probably not a cost center or a huge cost thing for them. And I mean, all of these are basically, hey, do you cost more to operate than the future? Than you
also want to
offer
see your strategic vision, Stacey. So your Ruth Bohr app.
The internet is very important for Google. So based on that, if it doesn't cost a lot to do Loon, and you get some good publicity wins, plus you're learning, you've got a nice field for bringing internet to hard places, I think it's a good bet.
I don't know how much it costs to do Loon, but according to their results from the last quarter, they spent more than $1.3 billion a quarter on other
Loon?
bets like Loon and Waymo.
On all the bets.
But that's all the bets.
And what are you voting on Loon?
That's $1.3 billion a quarter, more than $5 billion a year. You're going to be looking hard at these other bets, especially with that Larry Page protection.
We have a board meeting going on. I want to hear the vote from Ant.
I say let it go. You have other things
we're
to focus
tied.
on.
Okay. So Karsten, you get to break the tie.
I say let
keep
it go.
it.
Mr. Vice President,
Loon,
Keep it.
Loon, you keep.
All right,
Loon.
Wing Aviation. I didn't even know they had this.
This is their drone play, right?
Yes. in Canberra, Australia, and Helsinki, Finland.
We are missing a critical piece of information, which is how much they spend on these, how much they lose on them. You know?
Right,
yeah, this is what I'm like. I think they keep it because it's a good research bet and drones are going to be a big deal. I know they're keeping everything right now for me, but so what?
All right, gentlemen.
You got to write the $1.3 billion check, Stacey. I'm just saying.
I'm on it.
I don't think they're going to be the delivery
have you not heard
business.
I'm living the lounge life?
Yeah, she's lounge living. She must have money. Makani Power.
I say get rid of it.
What is Makani Power?
Makani Power. I didn't know they had this one either.
It attempts to harness renewable energy from wind by using propellers on airborne kites.
Oh, this is the kite one. They just started this years ago, 15 years ago.
Okay, keep Loon, kill this one.
Kill this one,
kill the kites.
Kill it. Kill the kites.
We didn't vote on Wing.
I said keep it.
I said get rid of it.
It's probably cheap. Keep it.
And
by the way,
get rid of it.
This is the worst board of directors ever. I mean, we have no experience. We don't know what it costs. We got nothing to lose. We got no skin in the game. The worst board meeting ever.
All right, verily.
This is the life science one. Remember, they kind of already had a loss with the contact lenses that they had announced.
Surgical robots, retina scan technology.
I keep this one. You sell this one, Stacey?
Yeah,
I sell it because it's not tied into any of the core businesses. Like drones are interesting because mapping, it's data gathering. It is mostly mapping. I think that's important. And I think Loon is important for internet. But Verily, I'm not into. Plus, they just bought Fitbit. They got health data now.
I don't even remember Verily.
Yeah.
It was the diabetes detecting contact lens.
Right.
I think, do they have an anti-aging effort too?
No, there is well, maybe is that under Verily? There is a big anti-aging but this was also Larry Page never wanting to die.
Go back to atrial fibrillation. What's that?
You got a dog. You got some skin in that game.
Yeah, I do.
Is it Lumi by Pampers?
Yes.
Is that the diaper that senses?
Yes.
It's the connected diaper.
The connected diaper.
Does it analyze the poop?
That's data.
No, it just lets you know when the
By the way,
poop
that is the future.
There is poop. Okay.
Poop analyzing toilets is definitely the future of medicine. Verb surgical. Yeah, this might not be the one, but they definitely had Larry doesn't want to die project.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kill that one too.
You can't kill it. That's the problem. It's going to live forever.
All right, this is a good one. Sidewalk Labs.
Keep it for sure. That's all about
They're getting in trouble
business.
in Toronto from it. They're
Who
getting
cares?
bad PR. I agree with you.
I'd kill it.
What?
Kill it.
But this is what you...
I'd kill it.
This
No,
fits
what
your
I cover.
criterion.
So it does, with the exception of
much data.
government businesses are tough, and they're going to always incite controversy with the public and with your employee base. You don't get a lot of money out of them. Google is historically terrible at making user-friendly products. Government stuff has to be very user-friendly. Look at IBM's contracts business. So I'd sell this sucker in a heartbeat.
Whoa. Tough. Ruth is tough.
I am harsh.
We should get Kevin Rose in here because he was at Google Ventures. He might still be at Google Ventures, and he probably has a better idea of what all this stuff costs.
Yeah, this is tough without a P&L, I'll be honest.
All right, speaking of which, Capital G and GV are their ventures
They're
things.
gonna
They'll
keep
do
those.
that.
Those.
That's where they...
Deep Mind. Deep Mind.
Oh.
Absolutely.
This is AI.
Deep.
Yeah,
Deep.
it's not going anywhere.
I think you have to, don't you?
It's the future.
Yeah.
Definitely the future.
Calico. I think that was the Keep Larry Alive business, wasn't it?
Calico is the anti-aging, yes.
Yeah.
I think you could kill that too.
Yeah, that'll get killed because Larry's
All right,
not there.
finally, I'm really interested in this one, especially Stacey's view. Access.
What is that?
That's their fiber business.
Their fiber business.
Oh.
So that had a big impact. It actually lowered fiber costs in places where it went in, but Google realized it was horrifyingly expensive. I think with 5G and new spectrum facility, I think they should keep it because I think they can actually deliver broadband in more places for less and compete. And it's such an essential part of all of their businesses that they should keep it and keep researching ways to do it better.
I would have assumed with all of the money Google has, it would be the bigger player to help get rural areas more connected.
That's the old days. They already decided not to do that. What is dead can never die. This died already. A couple of years ago, Google basically stopped putting in fiber.
Yeah.
Well,
I
but
think the only reason
same
it's
with
still
Fios.
They
Fios
own,
hasn't expanded anywhere, but I'm still using it right now.
They keep it because they have a responsibility to existing customers.
Well, they also they built
otherwise.
they built their own infrastructure, and I think they're waiting because the technology changed in the middle. So in the middle of their deployments, they realized their cheap fiber plans were not working out, but two, we saw 5G coming on the horizon and microwave. So they own WebPass, remember? And so I think what they're doing is probably waiting a hot second or 5 years. And you're going to see them redeploy with a wireless strategy. That's my hunch. Okay. That's my hope, too.
All right, well, thank you for this episode of Your Ruth Porat.
This, by the way, just in from the Google Fiber press room, they've decided to stop selling the 100 gigabit and only sell the 100 megabit and only sell the gigabit. So this confirms what you were saying, Stacey, which is that the lower speed plans are money losers. It's $70 a month, and you'll get a gig.
Fine.
I wonder, though, if this is a business. I think they've already kind of decided not to pursue this. But now they're saying they're all in on a gig.
Once you've made the infrastructure investment in fiber,
it just runs itself.
You just
it's not
a little bit. I mean, the big money's in deployment, and so the big investment's in deployment. So keeping it operational makes sense. You might see them. I mean, would you see them sell to a municipality? I don't think so. No. I think that
this one's probably cheap. In fact, it might not even be a money loser. They probably make their money back. You know, the money's already sunk. It was the cost of trenching and putting it all in.
But if think about it this way too, now you have these interesting test markets where if they come up with some kick-ass service, they could actually deploy something really interesting and then start and pushing the carriers to deploy more. So I think it's kind of like a bird in the hand.
I like your wireless strategy, Stacey. I like that too. I think that 5G and so on. So the Alphabet homepage is ridiculous. It doesn't list any of these ventures whatsoever. It's only one page plus an investors page, and it still has Larry's letter starting Alphabet. They're a little behind.
Huh.
You remember the URL?
XYZ?
abc.xyz.
abc.xyz. I knew they had a cute
Where do we classify Google's domain business? Because that is ridiculously silly.
Sounds like Google,
I depend upon it. I love
googly.
it.
I guess really we don't know the answers to these questions, not only because we don't have the P&L.
That never stops us.
Yeah, I know. We're pundits. We're supposed to make up answers. But more importantly, we don't really know what the new Google, and I'm going to guess there's going to be kind of a new Google, what its priorities will be, what Sundar Pichai will take, what direction he'll take Alphabet in.
Here's my guess is I saw a chart, I forget who put it up, of diversity of revenue. And Google used to be 98% advertising. Now I think it's down to low 80s. I think diversification of revenue. Amazon is in much better shape for diversified revenue across the hosting business and advertising now. Google's awfully dependent upon advertising still. It owns advertising industry. It's not a bad position to be in, Lord knows.
Right.
But I think that's a risky position.
What makes it risky if they own it and they are pretty much the standard?
Because I think
owned mainframes.
So I went to a thing. Yeah, I went to a thing a few weeks ago with an off the record dinner, so I won't be explicit, but with like 5 brands there.
Okay.
And 3 pundits like me, and the hosts. A company that serves those brands. And I'll be blunt. There was a nihilism to these guys. Where they didn't really care about quality, they didn't really care about news, they didn't really care about the things we thought they might care about a little bit. Just be nice. After enough line, they were honest. What they said was, what they do care about is they have their direct relationships with their customers. They don't need advertising. I think advertising as a field is going to decline. That's my answer, and that hurts. Lord knows our business, media.
Well, but what do you do if you're a startup or you're a young company? You don't have a relationship.
You're still going to have advertising, but it's not it's going to be on the decline. Is all I'm saying.
A different priority.
So let's say it. You didn't say, but let's say it's Procter and Gamble, established brand.
I can actually give you an example from Kimberly-Clark.
Kimberly-Clark. Okay, fine.
So are they Pampers or Loves? I can't remember which diaper is theirs, but they're
also Kleenex, and I mean they're yeah.
So what they've started doing is they've created a diaper delivery, kind of like there used to be one. I can't think of diapers.com. And what they're doing is they found the parents, they sell them stuff directly, they've cut out the middleman, and they love it.
Yep.
They don't have to advertise to these people. And that's their model, not for everything. So you're not going to see everything go that way.
They're in an unusually bad market because everybody grows out of Pampers. So how do they have to get new customers every few years? How do they get those new customers? They buy mailing lists?
They do deals with hospitals.
Yeah, they do. They buy data on people.
Do deals with websites. Yeah, they buy websites for pregnant mothers, which is a marketing cost, but that's that. A lot of the advertising world, and I'm working on this with media companies with a group, goes directly to commerce. BuzzFeed is just friggin' brilliant at direct commerce. And they're not just doing it for their own products, like their tasty stuff. They're doing other things for other companies. So that's a form of advertising, you could argue, yes. But what the holy grail is, you have a direct relationship. I think I love Stacey's example because it's also an annuity business for a few years.
Her example is good, but I still, like Mr. Laporte, I think about those smaller companies, the people that are just getting started, the 10-person team.
And they'll buy direct marketing links. I actually was talking to a small company. They are a tiny company building. They're out of Switzerland, I think. Okay. And they are doing a smart home thing. They're doing the Google targeted ads and retargeting. Retargeting is their biggest sale. So they bought basically lists and they're doing the retargeting. But that's small. That's in the advertising world, like a company like Kimberly-Clark or Procter and Gamble, they spend, I mean, those are the ones you want, right? You don't want the tiny little startups who are buying for pennies.
Well, I'll tell you who does want them and they're sitting right there in the house built by them is the Twit network. Because you're Casper and you start on Twit and you build up, and then unfortunately and sadly you go to TV and spend a bloody fortune.
Right.
But look at all those companies that built direct relationships with consumers. Harry's, which I use, all these.
They all move on from us.
They move on, but they start
once they start up, they get that relationship.
They start with you.
There is you got to have some way to prime the pump, but I think you're probably right. Once the pump is primed and flowing, you're probably good. Yeah.
As I said it in What Would Google Do, I think, or another book, I can't remember which one. Advertising is failure. You fail a lot. But in an ideal, your customers sell you, people find you on your own, you don't spend anything on marketing. You need to advertise when that fails. And that's failing less and less.
So if you look at the stock market, the stock price for Google, they took Larry and Sergei's announcement with absolute aplomb. In fact, I guess it went up.
Looks like it.
So here's the price but this is the 5-day price, which had tumbled a little bit in the midweek. Actually, that's a whole year. But let me go back to the 5-day. It had tumbled a little bit midweek. On Monday, for some reason, it went down and stayed down until the announcement, and then it jumped up. So the stock market likes it, whatever that means.
So here's the question. I think people are being emotional about this and silly, but having said that, a lot of people don't like him. So what would happen to Facebook stock? Would it go up without Zuckerberg, or would it in fact people say instead, no, the business dynamics are the same?
No, even with that share price changing, are the people still considering the fact that they own that, what was it, 85% of the 51%?
Right. Maybe
that's true. That's true.
That's stabilizing. If Zuckerberg, I think the stock goes way up if Zuckerberg leaves, because you could just pile all the problems onto the departing back of Mark Zuckerberg.
Blame him for everything.
And say he's gone.
Right.
It was same thing when Travis Kalanick was forced out at Uber. It didn't fix it in the long run. Probably they still have problems, but a lot of those issues went away when Travis went away, and
but there's another part of this, which is who comes in. So I think I'm fascinated by Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella.
Right.
Are top-notch managers. They're next generation, run the company really well, top-notch managers. Is Cheryl that?
Ooh, Sandberg.
Yeah.
She's
if she took over the company tomorrow.
I mean, I don't. So I would say Sundar is very much a manager. Satya is kind of a quiet visionary. I don't know if he's surprised me so much, but he has really moved Microsoft very well through some really rough waters.
You have to give him a lot of credit for the last 5 years, for sure.
And he's done it with a vision. I mean, people don't. I don't think they credit him for recognizing.
What's that vision?
Well, he's gone all in on the cloud from licensed software, and he's got. I mean, Azure has done an amazing job, and he's done it while also holding his customers' hands. In a sense, he's outcompeted Amazon in a lot of ways just by being the enterprise-friendly cloud that Amazon couldn't be. And then Google's out there with cool stuff. But he's also managed to deal with, all these legacy products and keeping, he shut down Windows Phone. Did he shut down Windows Phone? I'm trying.
No,
I
it
don't
dies
think so.
He
took the write-off on Nokia. So yes,
6 days.
He took the write-off on Nokia Overture. He never liked the Nokia acquisition, and I think Windows Phone. Satya basically moved them from a software company to a cloud company, and that was
he's still
shift.
Doing it.
Yes,
I mean you look at where Microsoft is positioning with like IoT and services associated with that. I think he's doing really well. And he's doing it in a way that I think is, unfortunately for him, he's not playing the visionary CEO role, and so he's just getting shit done. Yeah. And
who's this? Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella?
Satya Nadella.
Well, he is the visionary CEO. That's exactly what he is.
But he doesn't. He's not like.
He doesn't get credit. She's saying.
I think he's
not
doing
like.
All he ever does when he stands up on a stage at a Microsoft event is spout vision.
Okay.
But it does come to life.
I think it's pretty clear he's the visionary behind Microsoft's shift. He was in charge of Azure when he stepped up. I think that I don't think you give him operational credit as much as visionary credit.
I think operationally he's very strong though.
Maybe, and I think Sundar Pichai is much stronger operationally than he is as a visionary.
I agree with you on that.
But Google doesn't need a visionary. Google just needs to keep. This is, I think, really the bottom line.
Google needs a visionary. Google needs a visionary. Its core business is under serious threat. And in the next, I would say 20 years, it's going to be gone.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Oh,
it's not gone.
Especially now seeing ads are on the decline. You definitely need to rethink things.
Come on.
I wouldn't have assumed ads were on a decline, but
I think Google's going to be just fine.
Think about how you find information today. You like voice search, 50% of their search, I think 2 years ago, they said 50% of their searches were voice search, which means I'm coming in, I'm asking for information from this entity. I'm no longer seeing, in some cases, web results that people are buying.
Okay.
And yes, they're still doing retargeting on things like that, but people hate it. Ad blockers, I don't know what percentage of their business comes from AdWords versus the other one. AdSense. Retargeting versus buying stuff on Google.
I think Google's doing. I actually am more bullish on Google's search and ads business long term than that. I don't know how are customers going to change how they do. Google has so much data. I mean, look at Amazon. in fact, really, there's a lot of if Amazon's strong, Google's strong. Google has as much data about us as Amazon.
It's a supply and demand issue.
True.
It's a supply. Amazon is taking away advertising from Google. They're a new competitor in the market, and they're growing.
There's plenty of ways you can make money with data that don't necessarily mean display advertising.
But it's advertising nonetheless. I think that it's a supply and demand. And in this case, what I'm arguing is the demand is going to decline and prices are going to decline.
Yeah, people are not going to want to buy ads the same way. They're going to have the direct relationship with the customers. Think about things like your smart kitchenware. You're going to I'm going to see ads on my grocery list. And if Google's not providing me my grocery list and my grocery store is, or maybe it's my refrigerator company, those are people who are going to net those sales.
So
we're going to see a
relationships are
diffusion
there.
of where we're getting our information, and it's unclear who's going to own all those platforms, and Google has to stay in the game.
And also in a market like that, what you do is you get market share by buying other companies up and rolling them up. But with antitrust, they can't possibly do that. They can't buy AppNexus. Well, of course, AppNexus just got bought, but
Or Safeway.
So here's the one business
yeah,
I would keep as far as Google, which is anything to do with AI.
Yep.
I think Google is dominant in AI and has an opportunity to become more dominant in AI. And whatever replaces advertising is going to depend heavily on data and AI.
And where's the value there? Is it in the processing power or is it in the data?
I'm kind of one of those Silicon Valley
it's always
guys, which is
the two myths.
just build it and you'll figure out where the value is. There's value in it. Especially, here's where the value is. You got a lock on it. And so you're right, Stacey. Why is the customer relationship valuable? Because you keep it to yourself, right? So Kimberly Clark knows everything about Pampers users or Loves users, whichever one it is. But I think that doesn't help the ecosystem. And I think that somebody who knows stuff across product lines is going to be even more valuable.
Yep.
Because after all, you can only grow to a certain point with existing customer data, with relationships. Ultimately, you have to beat the other guy. If you're Pampers, you have to beat Loves. You have to steal market share from the competition. How do you do that if your only data point is your relationship with your existing customers? I think there's a huge amount of revenue opportunity in AI and data information. That's why Amazon is betting. And we're going to talk about reInvent in a second, but all Amazon talked about was AI.
So yes, but I would also say there's an opportunity that you're missing. It's not just about stealing market share. It's also about making your own operations more efficient. So if you can make your operations more efficient, lower your cost of goods sold, then you can make higher margins on the same product. And your market share, sure, you can go after that, but you might be okay not going after it. And then if you think about using the same amount of data to reinvest in your product and make it better, you're still going to then gain market share.
I think that both Coke and Pepsi are really efficient. And I would also bet that they desperately would like to take away 1 point of market share from the other guy.
I think so. They're not. So yes, but they're taking it away in new products, and I think that they're not taking it away. And but you need that data, and you need those customer relationships to understand where the market is going and build those new products where you're going to gain that.
Customer relationships are very valuable. I certainly agree with that. This whole company is built on the relationship with an audience. Period. But I also think it's somewhat limited, and I think if you're a global corporation, there are a lot of other data points you really would like that are external from the things that you just know. It would be I think it'd be a big mistake for a company to focus inward and say, we're just going to be more efficient, super serve our customers. At least I can't think of a lot of companies that have done that, and I think Amazon's a really good example. Why is Amazon a juggernaut? Because they spread.
Yeah, they branch out on different
bases. That's what I'm saying. That's what Google needs to do.
So that's what they're going to do. So Amazon uses the data it has to launch new products and build on those.
Right.
It doesn't launch new products without the data to support it.
And they don't buy, by the way, Amazon is notorious for buying very little advertising.
Right. So the Amazons are the future of the world. And I would also say that...
But you can only do that if you have critical mass. Right, Amazon could do that because they buy companies and buy more data and expand into other areas. You have to be pretty big to be Amazon data.
Well, what if yes, but what if you are Google? You have the ability to be that big, and you could also offer those insights. So instead of selling advertising space, what if you sell insights about customers back to the companies that need those insights?
Now you're agreeing with me. That's what I'm saying, is that there's huge value in ways we may not fully understand yet, beyond advertising and what Google already knows and what Google is getting to know.
All right, can I ask another question?
I guess we just wait for another 10 years to pass before we see all of this happen, because none of this is happening soon, right?
And not anybody on this panel is going to be the next CEO of Google. So
Thank God.
So let me ask you another question.
Yes.
And I don't want this to happen, and I think it would be stupid if it happened, and I think it's without reason to happen. But if Google were forced to split up, let me emphasize again, Senator Warren, I think it's the wrong way to go, and I think it's the wrong way to go.
It's not going to.
But if it were, and you're Sundar in charge, which way what do you give up?
You sell off YouTube.
Okay.
Because that's the first
I like that.
target.
That's
right?
good. That's good. Yep. I like that.
There's a few.
Android? Do you sell Android or you keep Android?
Yeah, sell Android. The problem is you're starting to cut off data. And I mean, the whole reason for Android, the entire reason for Android is data.
It's data.
So you want to be careful about what you cut off. And he knows better than we do what is most valuable in that regard. But I think there's things you
got
can
a
sell.
whole lot of double click. The ad stuff is
you keep the ads. You keep the search. Search. You're right. Search is gonna change, and I think voice search. You're right. You don't see those display ads, but you also do get data from search.
Oh God, yes.
And if Google continues to be the best place to go to find something, I think they'll continue to succeed. And that's one reason you maybe could get rid of Android, because you're still going to get all the searches from Android going through you.
True.
And iOS, by the way, and they spend billions of dollars a year to get Apple to do that. So I think I'm pretty bullish on Google, and I think they could spin off a lot of stuff and still have a very long-term viable business. It may not be advertising. I guess that's their whole problem, is we got to figure out what's next. I think you were right, Stacey, when you said it's got to be something already in their sphere.
Solid green.
Self-driving cars are, I think, a little bit far afield.
They're not in their lane.
But I think if you look at the strategy that Google and Amazon pursue, it's to expand their tendrils into data, to get more and more data about users.
That's the only way to go.
Well, Amazon just wants to sell you more stuff.
Yeah, but again, I think there's a play with the data that's beyond just selling you stuff. Maybe it is just selling you more stuff.
Amazon's using data to build better services. Amazon, think about it as a services company. So they're not. So yes,
they make more money with
data.
AWS than they do selling things, right?
I don't know if they make more money. They're higher profit margins.
Okay. It's a pretty good
business. They do not
business.
have their balance sheet memorized.
It's a pretty good
that
business.
And it was Google related. Go, you guys.
I know. I enjoyed that. So Google, you got to give us more major news every week, please.
Then we'll cover you. All right, let's. It's interesting that you brought up Satya Nadella, because he is the third era for Microsoft, right? It was Gates, then Ballmer, then Nadella.
Exactly.
We're now just entering the third era for the younger Google. It's only 21 years old. Wow. It was, I guess you could say it's kind of the third and a half era.
Schmidt.
It was first Larry and Sergey first.
Yeah, but it was really
Then it was Schmidt. Then it was Larry, and now it's Sundar Pichai. I think we all agree you couldn't pick a better guy to run Alphabet.
Yes.
I don't know who else is out there, but Sundar's the obvious choice.
He's a good choice.
Yeah.
Proven.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back there, I want to get Stacey's take on reInvent. Amazon, every time. Earlier today, Mary Jo Foley was saying, I pray that Amazon, because Microsoft's starting to do the same thing, which is you announce 38 new products every time you open your mouth. She says, this is getting hard. This is getting tough. But I know Stacey has her finger on the reInvent pulse, so we'll find out what Amazon announced yesterday. I'm not buying that keyboard. In fact, I haven't even cracked open my Deep Racer. I bought it from the
How do I get invited to this?
reInvent would be a good thing to go to.
That'd be a good one to go to.
60,000 people went this year.
No, Remars is the one you want to go to.
What's that?
reInvent's boring. It's cloud. Remars is the very fun AI robotics conference.
Oh, I was hoping
but they don't
Mars
invite
Candy.
everybody to that. Oh. No.
60,000 people at reInvent compared to 30,000 at Microsoft Ignite tells you something. What am I using right now? Everybody says, Leo, what browser do you use? I use Brave. Brave is a better browser that protects you. It gives you the best experience, and I want you to try it because Brave is free. It can coexist with whatever browser you're using on any platform. I use it on Windows. I use it on Mac. I use it on Linux. I use it on Android. I use it on iOS. You will love Brave. It's a next-generation browser built by a team focused on the things you're focused on. What if I asked you, what are you looking for in a browser? Performance? Yes. Privacy? Yes. They're making a better internet for you with privacy by default. And you get complete control over who has access to your online activity. And because you're not downloading a bunch of junk, it's 6 times faster than competitors. I always like to go to the Brave settings because when you download Brave, and go to brave.com/twit to do it, go right into the settings and start looking at things because you'll start to get a better idea of what Brave can do for you. For instance, the shields. The default shield settings for all websites block most ads, but not Brave private ads, and I'll show you how you can sign up for those. That's controlled in the Brave Rewards setting. You don't have to see those. Blocks cross-site trackers. I love this. It's HTTPS everywhere. It automatically upgrades connections to HTTPS. By the way, these are all things that I used to have plugins for. I don't need to. Because it's based on Chromium, you can use all the Chrome plugins, but really I only need a couple now, like LastPass and privacy.com. You want to block scripts? You don't need no script. You can. I don't because then nothing works. You can block cookies, of course. Device recognition. That's kind of interesting. I block all device recognition attempts. Why should anybody know what I'm on? I also disallow Facebook logons, embedded posts, Twitter embedded tweets, LinkedIn embedded posts. Those are just ways of gathering information about me. Choose the search engine you want. Of course, you can use Google. I like Start Page. It's all the Google. It's kind of like the Brave of search engines. It's all the Google without the tracking. You also have a Brave wallet. You can use web torrents. It supports a Hangouts component to enable screen sharing in the browser. I'm going to show you a couple more things that I really like in the additional settings of Brave. This is one I would go right to site settings, and here's where you could do, you know what I hate? All those sites that say, can we give you notifications? I just block all of those requests, and then if I've allowed a few here, I can add or subtract them, but I don't want to get the requests even. You totally control that. You can say, sites can't use motion sensors. They can't figure out where you're going. I don't do that on my desktop, but you might want to do it on your mobile device. You can control autoplay. You know I don't like the autoplay. Who does? Turned off, baby. I can go on and on and on. This is a browser that's built for you. Gives you settings in every way you want to control this. Brave Sync is great because all my bookmarks are automatically copied to everywhere I go. I just think this is the best browser ever. Because it's based on Chromium, it works exactly the way you expect it to. It looks just like you expect it to. The only difference is you get unmatched speed, online privacy, and a better user experience. And by the way, of course, it's absolutely free. It's easy to get set up. You can automatically import. It's easy to switch back and forth or just go straight to Brave. I don't find the need to use any other browser, but you still can. If you're on a laptop or a phone, it will save you battery life and reduce your data costs. I just think this is the easiest, best browser. Now, one thing, and Jeff talks about this a lot, that a lot of people are concerned with ad blocking, that you're taking away revenue from sites you like. And nowadays, a lot of sites will say, hey, you're blocking ads. Of course, you can disable it if you want, but there's also a way you can opt into Brave ads. These are privacy-respecting ads, and you'll get rewarded with BAT tokens, the basic attention tokens, and you can then award them on. You can pay it forward to content creators. So it kind of is the best of both worlds. You improve privacy, you fix the web, but you can also give publishers their fair share of web revenue. I think that's a really innovative idea. Created by Brendan Eich, the guy who created JavaScript, co-founder of Mozilla Firefox, and Brian Bondi. You get private browsing, built-in Tor, so you can get extra privacy. Private browsing on most other browsers isn't really private. It is on Brave. So my suggestion, go to brave.com/twit, brave.com/twit, and switch to a better browser, Brave. Yesterday was about big tech. Today is about us. Brave. And please use that special URL. I know you're smart. You can go to brave.com and download it. But if you go to brave.com/twit, that says, hey, they saw it on Twig. That's good. We want to let them know. Actually, they have had a huge jump. I was just looking at the download numbers of Brave browser, partly because they went to the 1.0, the finished version. But I think partly because of us. Their numbers have gone through the roof. People
the Twit
love
army, baby.
Well, once you use it, you tell other people. People love Brave. Thank you, Brave, for your support. You know what I would kill if I were Google? I'd kill Stadia. Just stop it now. Well, that's silly.
No, let's give it time, because maybe
grow.
Stadia is the same way Pixel 4 was. Everybody's going to rag on it and rag on it for 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and then 4th week. Oh, it's great now. So
did you turn on the always on 90 hertz refresh?
I did not.
You can do that if you want, but it will hurt battery life.
I don't see the need.
You don't need it. Yeah, it doesn't make that much of a difference. That's why you get bad reviews, because it's little things like that where people go, well, you don't have 90 hertz refresh at all times, and that they know, they can tell. Maybe some people can. I don't know.
No, they don't. Most people can't.
I think so. So I'm curious what y'all think about these Google workers. Google fired 4 employees, the Thanksgiving 4, because they were fired right before Thanksgiving. Google said because they were accessing data of other employees, they were tracking them. Employees were scared once they found out this was happening. Some of Google's employees actually asked to move their location because of it. But these 4, Lawrence Berlin, Paul Duke, Rebecca Rivers, and Sophie Walden, wrote a post on Medium in which they announced they're gonna sue for wrongful discharge, because they say it has nothing to do with what Google says. It has everything to do with the fact that they are among the group of people who want Google to adhere to a higher standard. We spoke up, and how did they respond? Google didn't respond by honoring its values or abiding by the law. It responded like a large corporation more interested in revenue growth than ensuring worker rights and ethical contact. Google fired us for engaging in protected labor organizing. That is illegal, of course, and so that's why they're suing. What? I don't know what to think here.
I'm sure I'll get roasted for this, but again, Google is a business, and even if this wasn't Google, if this was your local, corner store that has a staff, they would do the same thing if the same type of issues were popping up, getting access to data that they shouldn't have access to and sharing it and so forth. It's business is business, and if these folks want to sue Google, have at it. You have that power, and I hope it works out for you. I hope the right stuff comes out of it, whether it's Google was right or whether the employees were right.
I should point out in their Medium post, the employees wrote, Google spread rumors we were rule-breaking troublemakers who leaked sensitive information. That is flatly untrue, and in the privacy of our meetings with HR and Google's internal investigations team, the company acknowledged this. So there's some dispute over the facts.
All right, take it to court.
Carson, did you want to say something? Your mic's on.
Sorry about that. No, I had Jeff's mic off.
Okay.
I was apologizing.
He wants to apologize to Jeff for all to hear.
Yes.
Sorry, Jeff. But now that you've heard this, we've set the stage. What do you think, Jeff?
I was just making a smart-ass remark, that's all.
Shocking.
Turn his mic off. Turn his mic off. Oh, no, that's Stacey.
I think these cases are as hard as trying to get involved in somebody's family squabble and divorce.
Yeah.
Right? It could be either way. They could be, in fact, being fired for labor organizing. They could be violating the rules of the company. And as Ann says, you're a company and you enforce the rules. I don't know. I have no way to know.
They're going to go to the NLRB. The NLRB will presumably have discovery, the ability to say, well, Google, let's see the evidence that they did what you claimed. So
Are they working with an established, because the rules around labor organizing are really tough, and
no, you're not allowed to shut down unionization efforts.
Right, but you do have to follow a lot of rules about how to contact your fellow employees and where to do so. Okay. And so usually because this is not an uncommon tactic that companies use to shut this sort of thing down. So established unions help people who want to build unions do this the right way, so they don't run afoul of their companies. So, but I don't know which union is working with Google or with the people trying to establish unions at Google.
No one denies that Google hired a law firm that is famous for union busting. That's from the New York Times.
Google has the right to do that.
Yeah.
They have a right to do that.
Yeah,
it's not illegal.
Yeah.
No one's ever tried to unionize Twit. I don't. But I have to say, I'm in AFTRA. I wouldn't prevent anybody from unionizing who wanted to unionize. But that's not okay. It seems to be that these four are more concerned about Andy Rubin's payoff, about Google's work with CBP, about putting somebody on the AI Ethics Council from the anti-LGBTQ and anti-immigrant think tank, about developing drone technology for the Department of Defense. All of this litany of complaints is in the Medium post. A secret project to work with the Chinese government on a search engine. That seems to be their chief concern. I don't even know if they're trying to unionize. I don't know exactly what.
Well, you're seeing
the NLRB wouldn't protect them for this then.
Well, that's
so they may call it organizing now.
Oh, actually, wait a minute. We participated in legally protected labor organizing, fighting to improve workplace conditions for all Google workers. But we also joined together to hold Google accountable for the impact on our workplace of its business decisions, policies, and practices. So they've muddied the waters by combining those two efforts.
Yeah, well, the labor stuff is the only stuff they're protected.
That's right.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is the problem with hiring smart people, and it's why I only hire stupid people.
Wait, what?
Uh-oh, they're going to hit me now.
Excuse me?
Now they're going to organize against you.
No, really, the problem is for Google that you've got PhDs, you've got engineers, you've got bloody-minded independent individualists.
Right.
And if they're
Go ahead.
If they're trying to do, one of the issues was contractors, right? So it could be that in trying to reach out to contractors, because they're not protected, then they would be using company resources to reach out to people because you couldn't find them otherwise necessarily. You can only reach them through Google channels.
Right.
So that could be actually in their favor.
I have avoided this story for a couple of weeks. It's been brewing. And Jeff, I avoid it for the exact reason you say. We just don't know.
I just don't know.
We just don't know. And
it's interesting that in media now there's been a rash of unionizations, mainly because companies are cutting back and times are tough. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make because there's only so much money in the bank in a lot of these places, but it's happening all over. The other thing, I was at an event 2 weeks ago where it's an unconference and there was a session on the generations. So it was boomers versus millennials versus Gen Z. And it was two millennials and a Gen Z were up running the session. And I'm, of course, a boomer sitting there holding up the alimentary canal, not quitting my job so that, I can't move anywhere. And there was anger. One of the people there said, at people like me, one of the people there up front said, one of the people in the room, a fellow boomer, said, well, I got this great job at a big place when I was 26. And they got angry. And I said, it was all friendly, but it was frustration. And I said, I was assistant city editor of the Chicago Tribune at 21, and he threw the chair. Still in good humor. I turned to the guy next to me, who was a well-known guy, and he said, I ran the top news show in New York when I was 26. And they said, how are we not getting these jobs? How is this not happening? How come you did? And we don't. Well, we were in a growing industry. Right, people moved around, and there were openings, and we took them. And that's what happened. And now, no, we're sitting in the alimentary canal, man, because I'm not leaving my job, and maybe I should. I'm 65. My sister, by the way, is 5 years old. She just retired. I'm feeling pretty jealous, by the way. I don't know how you're feeling, Leo, old man.
I would love to retire. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
But,
not yet.
Not for a long time.
The company is you.
One of the reasons we got Ant and Micah here is so that we have some people that do the shows and continue what I think we've started. And I want to make sure it continues. Mm-hmm. So
I think that's part of what, even at Google, I think there's a generational issue happening about the relationship to companies and other generations, and kind of an anger bubbling up there. So I don't know.
I don't want to sound hypocritical, but I applaud the employees for wanting to try to make a difference at their workplace. But at the same time, you have processes and procedures to try to go through and make sure all of that, is on the up and up, and not just some riots, if you will, against your employer.
Yep.
It's go ahead and try to make a difference at your workplace. That's good. That's good for morale. But at the same time, don't try to destroy the company that's feeding your family either.
I don't think they're necessarily trying to destroy it. I do think they're bringing issues to the fore that are important. And there's some famous phrase or quote about polite women never get anywhere. Sometimes you have to maybe not destroy, but maybe you do have to be a little bit more. Yeah, thank you. I knew you would know. So I would say.
Are you accusing me of spouting cliches, Stacey?
No. You're a professor. Come on, that's your job.
That's
right?
your job.
To quote pithy phrases
Cold.
to the youngs of the world. But yes, so I don't know. I see this in my daughter, and I think there is very much a generational anger, frustration, and I think it's well founded in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. There is a lot that is not going to happen, and there's a lot of despair over where she's going to end up. And I think a lot of people who are young, they realize they have to start their own thing and do their own thing if they want to get anywhere faster. And I will say, I went into journalism. I graduated college in 2000. So I went in knowing that I was entering just as the web was becoming a thing. Mm-hmm. And I will say,
you weren't going to be a print journalist, or were you?
I was a magazine journalism major. I interned at Business Week. I wrote for the Wall Street Journal. But
you also must have known that the web was in your future, right?
I knew it, but at the same time, I didn't accept a job at Business Week Online when I came out of college because I wanted to work for a print publication, and this was the year 2000.
Right.
And I ended up working for a print trade rather than Business Week Online. But the point is, I thought by the time I was 41, which is how old I am now, I would have this cushy kind of features writer at a magazine. Mm-hmm. I would have earned it. I would have worked my butt off.
But it's not there.
When I got to Fortune 4 years ago, thinking, I've made my cush magazine job, I was still writing 3 or 4 posts a day, editing all my colleagues' stuff, and getting shat upon by the magazine staff for not being magazine-y enough. And it was very much an eye-opening experience because there were literally 2 classes of employees. And so, I wasn't angry, I just quit. But I get where they're coming from. It is frustrating, especially because a lot of the people who are standing in your way don't get how people consume media nowadays. They're very stuck on their old world views. Okay, that's it.
I battle with a little bit of both of those sides. I look at my children, and I look at my oldest boy in particular, the one that's in the Army that I've mentioned before, and just trying to get through to him that it takes work. You're not just going to have things handed to you. I don't care if you're just washing dishes at your local restaurant. If you want to move up to the fry cook, you need to work for it. You need to earn that. And I struggled with him and his generation just sort of expecting that, hey, I deserve this stuff even though I haven't worked for anything. You need to give me this job or that job or what have you. And then at the same time, I get it from their perspective where they see someone like me that's old-ish, I'm not old, that has this particular world view that it's sort of out of date, if you will.
You're just grown up, Ant.
That's it.
He's a grown up. I started Twit because I didn't want to work for the man anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I started late in life. I was, I think, in my 50s when I started, maybe late 40s. But I also had been rejected by mainstream media. So
you were stuck in a rubber suit.
Yes. Having been stuck in a rubber suit. No, actually, that was a triumph, Jeff. What are you talking about? Triumphant rubber suit. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. We can't really comment.
Were we going to talk about reInvent?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to do the changelog and an ad, and then we'll do reinvent. We'll give you a whole segment. How about that, Stacey Higginbotham?
I don't need a segment. I just wanted to be sure if you promised people reinvent that I would be ready for it.
Oh, get ready.
Ooh.
Get ready. But first, it's the Google Changelog.
1 beat, 2 beats, 3 beats, 4 beats, 5 beats, 6 beats.
He's paying me back.
Changelog.
He's paying me back for reading the wrong ad. I'm getting my payment. The Google Photos has a couple of new features you might be interested in. Manual face tagging. But with a caveat, this is from Android Police. Google's giving users way more control over faces tagged in their photos. I feel like we've always had control. I see the faces. I name them.
Or not.
Yeah. You can't select the face in a photo manually, so you still will have to wait till Google sees a face, and then you can tag it. But you can tag it in the photo, so that's a bit of a different functionality. Before, you had to just go to people, and you'd see a whole bunch of faces, and then you'd say, oh, I know who that one is. You can also, and this is perhaps more important, manually remove face tagging from a picture. So maybe you don't want to tag Rafael Nadal, or maybe Jeff does, but maybe you don't want to tag somebody you know, but you don't want to violate their privacy when you share those photos. So that's just a change in how Google's going to do face recognition in Google Photos. They also are adding, and I don't understand this, maybe you guys have used it, chat. In-app sharing conversations.
This is what I wanted to know about.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I don't understand.
This is finally going to be the one that works.
The messaging app from Google.
The messaging app that works.
Finally.
I'm so excited about this.
So,
plus times plus?
Basically, it looks more to me like a replacement for Instagram, or kind of a person-to-person Instagram.
It's combining your photos with I get it. Okay.
Google users will be able to share any number of images or videos, up to 20,000 per conversation. I'd like to see somebody try to go do 20,001.
Challenge accepted.
You'll be able to create and add people to new groups, so you can create a group. There'll be a dedicated thread. People's comments will appear as if they're chat comments in that thread. It's not exactly a messaging client, so it isn't. I don't think we can call it a new.
It sounds like WhatsApp.
Yeah, it has. Yes,
right.
Maybe that's it. It's more private, right? Because there's no public sharing. You just share it with a group. Although people like Mike Elgin will probably make that group
make it
big,
public,
right?
He'll probably make it public somehow.
Yeah.
I use Google Photo sharing all the time, and it's a pain in the butt.
Right, because you have to share.
You can
your
sharing
download.
albums works really well, but
Yeah.
just sharing a photo, it creates an album with that photo.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now when
So
you
it's-
do that, like I share to Lisa all the time, she hates it. She says, would you just email me the damn picture? And I think that's why. So now it'll be more like a message, a conversation, a thread. Let me see if I have it yet. I
never really cared for the sharing feature built inside of Photos because of the way it organizes your app.
I'm seeing create a new share. Maybe I do have it. So there's a new tab. It's very slow. Create a new share. Add a title.
Twig test.
Sharing
This is creating an album.
is carrying. Is it going to do an album?
create album.
Select people.
Create album.
Create an auto. No, you can do that. Oh, that's the auto updating album. So then I would add Lisa's picture, and automatically anytime I get a picture with her, she'd get that. I like that feature. Or I can select a photo. Select our Christmas card. Okay, good.
Which was beautiful.
Beautiful Christmas card. Where is it?
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, that's a good name for it. Okay, done. Where is it?
Yeah, this looks intuitive.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
goes.
Sharing is caring. And now what?
Wow, it's a large.
It's a large picture. You know why? There's 26 freaking people in it. Half of them want to unionize. Now I can share it with Lisa and say, hey there, cutie. Whose lap is that you're sitting in?
What be your name?
She's gonna. Yeah. What be your name? May I quote you? What be your name? Okay. New phone. Who dis? All right. So now the problem is Lisa's going to say, "Why are you sharing the Christmas picture with me?" I don't know if this shared an album or like now we're going to have a chat group. Doesn't feel like that. But anyway, that's what'll change. It won't be an album anymore. It'll be a thread. I like that.
Let's see how it works, though.
Yeah. And this is a minor one, but if you speak...
So this hasn't been rolled out yet, huh? Because that's still a shared album for me.
It's rolling out. It's in the process of...
Yeah, I don't have it
Some
yet.
people will have it. I don't know if I have it. I don't know what that experience was. It seems like
I just try to share something...
Seems like I have something new there.
I just shared something with you in Google Photos.
Okay. I don't know what to do now. I'm actually done with this story.
Okay, fine.
I'm actually through.
Shut up, Jeff.
Stop sharing.
Did you get the hint? We're moving on.
I'm done. I'm done, man. I'm done. Google Assistant on Android TV gains support for Hindi and Vietnamese. That's good.
That's awesome.
And then, if you're Hindi or Vietnamese. And then, by the way, I just bought the new NVIDIA Shield Android TV. It always was the best one, the new Shield Pro. Mm-hmm. We have a review of the little tube from Jason on Hot, and I just got the full-size one, which is actually smaller. In fact, they took out some features. I can't put a micro SD card in it anymore, which is weird. I guess everything's streaming. You don't download anymore. But it's nice. It's fast. Android TV lives thanks to NVIDIA.
It's always been the standard in their set-top boxes, though.
It's always been the best. If you like Android TV, it's absolutely the best. Finally, it's time once again. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Live from the North Pole, it's Santa's Village. This is, Google does this every year. They have a little Santa tracker, and they've added some new features. Big makeover, according to Google. Scroll down from the snowy scene up top to discover Santa's new toy factory, his greenhouse, and because we're all interested in fitness these days, the new reindeer gym. There is also a new 3D snowbox. Shall we visit? Let's go pay a visit to Santa's
This reminds
Village.
me of their CES display last year.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a certain... It's all material design. It's all flat.
It loads very slowly.
Explore, play, and learn with Santa's elves all December long. Press the play button. There's Mr. and Mrs. Google presents.
What is
We're
this?
pulling this big electric switch. The lights come on. The sleigh is ready. The elves are polishing the reindeer's nose. And apparently they want more money and they're going to unionize. Wait a minute. What the hell is going on? They've taken over Santa's workshop. They certainly look like discontented elves. Oh, he's mad too.
Really
Even
angry,
the reindeer
angry
are angry.
reindeer.
Holy cow. By the way, we do have a nice little countdown clock. 19 days, 10 hours, and 55 minutes until Christmas. Here's an elf reading a manual, something elves never do. So anyway, there's obviously fun and games for all the family. This is a big change from last year.
It asked me if I wanted to dance. What the heck was that?
Ho, ho, ho. Do you think kids in 20 years will look back, as I do, at remember the Norelco Razor sleigh that Santa rode in those TV shows?
That was awesome.
Remember that?
It even had the texture in the snow
Yeah.
and the blades.
Burl
Yeah.
Ives singing, "It's a holly jolly." Do you think kids will look back on Google's Santa tracker with the same nostalgia we look back? No.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Heck, my daughter gets nostalgic for that little Dinosaur 404 game. And that's still around.
All right.
Really?
So,
Okay.
yeah, dude, they love that thing.
Okay, but it's no Norelco Christmas spot. Here comes
That's the
Santa.
best. Yes.
Razors are all about.
Here comes
The
Santa.
shiny new silver rotary razors in cord and rechargeable models.
Worst razors ever.
No gotcha.
Worst ever.
They've
man.
got no gotchas.
The ladies' razors that really work. and the Ladybug Salon.
That's the
are
selling
Ladybug
point.
razors.
They really work. And they come in a
Norelco.
travel case.
Even our name says Merry
It
Christmas.
cuts off little hairs.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
Wow.
that thing was so bad. And I used to want one. And
Still nostalgic about it. And that's the changelog. Somebody asked me on the Twit community, who is the voice of the Google changelog? I have no. Do you know, John? I have no idea. It was a fan creation, right?
It was a fan creation because we had two. The reason we have two of them is because it was like competitive. One didn't like the other.
Oh, there were two different ones.
oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And how old is that?
Well, the Norelco ad's from 1970. I don't know.
No, I mean, smart ass.
I'm a smart ass.
It's your job to be a smart ass.
I am, by the way, the travel tripod from Peak Design is now shipping. I'm
Yeah,
filling out
tis the season.
my questionnaire.
I thought they were supposed to ship
I have to
like on the
confirm
12th
the
or
address.
something.
Yeah, well, Retcon.
$489.
Well, wait, I already
Oh, that's the,
does it do
paid
walk
for
with
it.
you?
Yeah, it
thing's
carries all
awesome.
your gear.
that tripod's awesome.
Yeah, Ant, did you order one or no?
I did not. I did review one though. It's
Oh, you've already seen it.
it is literally the size of this water bottle. When you can collapse it down, it'll stick
And it's
inside
not
of your
spindly?
bag. It is
No,
awesome.
it's tough.
It is awesome. Aluminum or carbon fiber. It's pricey, but it was
Yeah, and I got the fancy.
outstanding.
I got the most expensive.
You got the carbon fiber?
Yeah. So,
You're worth it, Leo.
It's nice.
I have a fantasy that if I get more gear, my pictures will come out better.
Oh, you're one of
Ant is trying to
those.
slap me on the head.
You're one of those. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
It doesn't. It hasn't. Just saying. Our show today brought to you by Capterra. Now, here's a technology that can make your business better. A lot of people use. I mean, nowadays every business runs on software, but the problem is a lot of businesses are running on old, slow, out of date, buggy software. Because the boss's cousin's aunt's nephew's friend wrote it while he was in college. He graduated. He's disappeared. That was 30 years ago. You're still using the software. The whole business runs on it. It requires Windows 95 and Internet Explorer 1. But hey, it's all you got. But is it really? I suggest a visit to Capterra. CAPTERRA.com/twig. Capterra is the leading free online resource to help you find the best software solution for your business. Turns out there is modern software for every business, and Capterra is the ultimate directory with 700 categories, everything from digital workplace software to video management software to the kind of basic line of business software for things like dog groomers and yoga studios. And so whatever business you're in, Capterra has usually like dozens, often, many, many different apps. You're going to do mind mapping software. Sure. Okay. So you find a ton of them, right? But you got to narrow it down. They've got filters that are tuned to the category. So, you could say on premises, you could say in the cloud, you could say how many seats, does it make appointments? If it's dog grooming software, what's the breed? Narrow it down. Of course, you probably want to narrow it down also by the number of stars. And then you can even make a comparison chart. It's 4x4, side by side, and see it just like in the magazines, head to head. But here's the thing that's so cool that no magazine has. 1 million plus reviews of the products from actual users. Capterra does such a great job to vet these reviews, so they all come from people who use that software, and it'll give you everything you need to make an informed decision. And by the way, Capterra is free. There's no charge, never will be for this. But if you want to, say thank you, write a review. That's how you get such great stuff. Capterra.com/twig. Capterra believes software makes the world a better place because software can help every organization become a better version of itself. Try it. You got nothing to lose. It's absolutely free. Please use that special URL, capterra.com/twig, so they know you saw it here. Make the right software decision. With all of those reviews, you can't go wrong. Capterra.com/twig. Capterra is software selection simplified. When is your flight? It's at okay. We got to get you out of here in about 45 minutes, Stacey. So I'm aware of that. We're gonna keep an eye on the clock. Stacey's at the Seattle airport.
If I were there, I'd be having a
SeaTac.
red wine in the hand.
It's nice.
Hey, would you mind filling this for me? I'm stuck on a podcast.
We don't know what's there.
Can I get some cheese and
I can't
crackers
get to the
too?
bar.
You could go to the
I'm
bar.
stuck here.
Take us with you.
Yes.
No, I'm not that person.
Oh, are you?
I was like, I will show you the lounge because it's beautiful.
Oh, nice.
This is the middle area.
Oh, that is nice.
Ooh.
Here's the espresso bar.
Ooh.
Wow.
Over
Swanky.
that area is where the fire pit and everything are.
Do you have to
And
fly first class to get in there? How do you get in there?
I have a lounge pass.
Oh, smart person.
I spend a lot of time at the airport.
Yeah, it's worth it. Are you using, is it Lounge Buddy? What's the company that does that?
Oh no, I just have an Alaska because
You're Alaska. I got it.
I've got Alaska Lounge and American. So
nice. So
if I'm traveling, that's where you'll find me.
what was it called? Reinvent.
Invent.
And they do this every year. I remember last year that's when they announced that Deep Racer, which was to help programmers learn.
They had an announcement about that this year.
How reinforcement learning works. Yeah, I have one, but I've never used it. What was their announcement?
They're going to add LiDAR on top. So should you choose to update your Deep Racer, you can get LiDAR coming soon.
Wow.
So, I mean, I don't know if you guys care so much about this, but I can put the AWS announcements in context with what Google does, if that would help.
That would be great. We
Please.
care. We care deeply.
Deeply, eh?
Deeply.
Okay. So the big announcements. So at this show, you usually look for Andy Jassy's keynote. He's the guy in charge of AWS. And then on Thursday morning, so tomorrow morning, you'll look for Werner's keynote. Andy Jassy spent a lot of time talking about SageMaker, which is Amazon's AI tools. The coolest tool they actually announced was something called Autopilot. And what that does is it takes all the data you have in your Amazon S3 storage thing and is like, and then it says, I will build models based on this, which is really hard for people to do. So that was a really cool service.
They can't build models on my S3 storage. It's totally just garbage. Files and stuff. But theoretically, you'd upload data sets that had some value,
data sets,
right?
and they would figure that out.
Okay.
So Amazon spent a lot of time focused on machine learning, probably because Google's getting a lot of attention for that. Where Amazon is a little bit different is it's announcing higher level tools, and they made it clear. I think they said 85% of Google's TensorFlow projects are actually running on AWS.
Wow.
So instead of doing their own, processor for data, although they do have an inference chip, and kind of focusing
Did they announce
on
an ARM
framework.
chip also, a new ARM
I'm
platform?
getting to that. Hold
Okay.
on. That's next up.
Okay.
Because I love ARM.
I'll hold on.
Okay. So their whole strategy here with data is to go a higher level. So a platform as a service kind of level from Google and make it less abstract, more abstract, I guess, for people.
Why wouldn't you use Google's TPUs if you're going to do TensorFlow? I'm surprised to hear that most people are using Amazon.
Right.
Well, that's where the data is.
Yeah, okay. So they applied TensorFlow to the data from Amazon.
Yeah. So Amazon boosted SageMaker, which is their machine learning tools. That's big announcement number one. Number two is they announced the Graviton 2 processors, which are really a better, faster ARM-based processor that should be cheaper that a lot of people can use. And that was one of the big
Does this compete with TPU? What is the point of this?
No, so these are for basic compute loads.
Okay.
So
basically it's ARM servers, and you can cluster up to 60.
Intel.
Yeah. Cluster up to 64 of them. They're low power. Will that mean they're less expensive for us or just for Amazon?
Amazon hasn't given pricing. They should be less expensive. They'll also be more energy efficient to run. And the nice thing about the cloud is a lot of your jobs don't require all of your processing power, right? You're dividing up that processing power using hypervisors, and you're like, I'll do a little load here and a little load there. And so ARM actually works out well for a lot of the cloud workloads. So that's the ARM Graviton 2 announcement. The other big announcement is the Amazon Nitro service. And that is, what is that? That is a whole new class of services that they're offering that it's not quite composable infrastructure, but it lets you allocate the storage and networking capacity you need on demand, which is getting closer to this holy grail of being able to compose your own infrastructure for your applications.
Composing means you kind of piece together as much infrastructure as you need.
You piece together your networking, your storage, and your compute as it needs for the app. So think about it this way. We have achieved this app explosion. We used to have GPU, general purpose computing. Not graphics processors. We used to have general purpose computing. And that worked for pretty much everything. But now when we get these big workloads in the cloud, you really want to optimize for them because they're big enough that you can be more efficient if you optimize for them. And so that's what this is allowing you to do, is to even further make more fine-tuned adjustments for optimizing those workloads. So that's that. And then what else do you want to know about?
I want to know about the Broomball tournament at the Las Vegas Festival grounds, 8 p.m. to midnight. Apparently,
I don't know about that.
Broomball and
quantum
dodgeball.
Computing.
Huh?
I should tell you, break it. Amazon launched their quantum computing efforts as well, which will compete again with IBM.
Who goes to
and
this?
with
Is this
Google.
a developer event?
It is, and it's
CISA.
bigger than. Yeah, it's both developers, but it's like Microsoft Ignite is only enterprise class developers, right? They have build for their other developers.
Right.
This is anybody who builds anything on AWS. So it's a huge event.
Everybody uses AWS. We use
Right.
AWS. Everybody uses AWS. It's a great infrastructure.
Do you also use Google or Microsoft or the competitors? I mean, do people mix and match these things these days?
It's very common to see multi-homed clouds, but unfortunately, there's complexity involved, and sometimes people just say, "Let's."
You usually run one type of job or
on
one type of
cloud.
workload or
Right.
app kind of thing in a cloud.
We
And
use
most
it for load balancing for our website. We use AWS. We also there's other things we put frankly, our whole. I hope it's okay to say this, but our whole workflow chain is after the fires. You know, we used to do all our workflow here in the studio, and when the studio was off for 3 days, we went So Russell's our brilliant IT guy has been moving. We won't use it day to day, but we have the capability of using AWS if we're shut down. To we obviously can't shoot the shows, but the production chain can go up in the cloud. So things like that, it's really nice for. And the nice thing about AWS is, we can have it up there, but it's not on, so it costs us nothing until we turn it on. It's nice.
Contingency.
It's nice.
What is your contingency still to shoot in your home if you have to?
Yeah, we could do that, but the problem is exactly that. If we were going to shoot in our house, we would have had to pack up all the assets, a bunch of computers. We had to put in a car and ship it over and set it up, and it would be, Russell said, it's about 4 hours. But by moving it to AWS, we're not using it again. We're not using it day to day because it's faster to use it locally. But we could if we had to, and that's it's just a redundancy thing. Jason Howell wants me to buy him this. So last year they announced the Robo Racer, right?
Yeah.
That you program to learn a certain kind of reinforcement learning. This is a gadget called Composer from AI that lets humans and AI write music together. They call it Deep Composer, like Deep Racer. Shall I play? Here's Jonathan Colton performing. At least they got a good geek performer there. Performing on the AWS stage with the little AI. Actually, instead of playing that...
Yeah, you probably shouldn't play that.
You think I'll get in trouble? No, Colton would never sue us. He loves us. I made Colton.
It's not him we're worried about.
Yeah. He's a human songwriter.
Thank you. So this song is a cautionary tale. It's a science fiction short story about collaborating with an artificial intelligence.
I wonder if this is his
1, 2, 3,
song from Portal. Or is it Code Monkey?
I wrote a song
it's his
with a
own.
robot in Vegas. Now I'm a brain in a jar.
Okay. Well, let me play it. That's, if you don't know about Jonathan Colton, go to his website and download his music. I think $70 you could download all of it, and I did that a long time ago. So here's some jazz played by the Deep Composer. That is the worst.
That is terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not as terrible as the pop. Here's pop.
Well, that's the most nightmarish hold music I've ever heard.
It feels like an AI wrote it.
Right.
Sounds like Journey.
You just insulted Journey, baby. And sounds like Journey. Oh, man. And here's Rock Steve Perry just rolling over in his barometric chamber.
That's rock?
Yeah. And then
Again.
listen, every once in a while you hear a really bad note. There.
Yeah, not good. Yeah. Now, see, again, this all comes back to who's training the AI and how much training are they doing with this? Because I could see this potentially working out, but this has a long way.
This is using your favorite technology, Stacey, generative adversarial networks.
Oh, GANs are notorious. When they go wrong, they go real wrong.
When I first saw it, I
When
thought
GANs
about
go wrong. That's our show title, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say, write it down.
when GANs go
Put it
wrong.
in the book. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When I first saw this, it made me think about what was that? American Gods, the TV show.
Oh, I love that show.
And where the was it Technology Boy? At least it's not in the book, but the Technology Boy guy or whatever.
Yes.
He meets up with the computer guy that makes music.
Yeah.
And all I could think about was Technology Boy whispering in this guy's ears, tell him that music's horrible and fix it. And this is what came out.
Yeah.
It's these horrible samples.
The premise of the show is awesome, which is that the old gods, the Norse gods, even Jesus, the current, the old gods are being replaced by modern gods.
New gods.
And yours, technology god, he kind of de-reses and re-reses, and he's kind of creepy, and he's smoking a vape. And
Yeah. What was it?
that's
Toad skins or something he was smoking? Something crazy.
Yeah, he is. Toad skins, yeah. So it was interesting, and we talked a little bit about this on Windows Weekly earlier because Mary Jo Foley was also talking about reInvent. It was interesting that they're doing this ARM Graviton 2. The previous generation was also ARM, but it sounds like ARM in the cloud. I remember Linus Torvalds said for a long time, Linux isn't going to support ARM well until cloud services are based on ARM, not Intel, because there's no, it's no way to test what we're doing. It's no,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So this is actually a big deal, and
It is.
I guess it won't be faster per core, but you can multiply the cores to 64 cores.
And you really don't need for every workload, you don't need
Right.
Intel level performance, especially when you're in the cloud, because the cloud is designed to take that underlying performance and put a layer over it. So you don't actually care. Only the hypervisor cares.
Right.
And that's actually why everyone was excited about ARM in the cloud. The cloud actually gave ARM a chance because most companies aren't going to use the entire Intel workload, and price performance per watt becomes so much more important in the cloud. So in these should be cheaper. And what's exciting, even more exciting, is when you have clouds coming in and buying the hardware at that level, you've got the chance for real innovation at the core level that you don't have. Like with Intel, only Intel develops x86, right? There's one other company, I don't know if they're still around, but there's AMD too, sorry. And AMD's doing some innovation. But with ARM, you're going to see companies innovate around that core in a way that companies can't with x86, and I think that's really exciting. And it's also great for the cloud guys.
Mary Jo also saw it more as taking a shot at Azure, Microsoft's cloud, than at Google's cloud.
Azure has ARM processors.
Right.
They also use FPGAs for different things.
FPGA is their TPU, basically.
An FPGA is a generic field program. It's a
But it's
chip
aimed
that's
at the same
hardware
market
programmable.
that Google's TPU is aimed at, I think.
They are using it for machine learning, yes, but they also use it for search and I think some transactional things too.
There's they're partnering with Verizon on 5G with a new wavelength service, cloud computing over 5G. That
I just talked to them about that.
Yeah, Microsoft's got AT&T as their partner. Do you think Verizon's a good choice here?
Yeah, and they're going to add, so we'll see more. That these exclusive deals are just to be all like, woo, fancy. We're going to see them add AT&T over time. They also have KDDI today, or Amazon has KDDI, Verizon, Vodafone, and somebody else I can't recall. And this is basically putting Amazon's physical hardware inside metro data centers. AT&T's partnership with Azure is actually at the RAN, which is at the cell tower network. This is actually in the citywide data centers, which is not as far out to the edge as you could go.
Right. 28 launches at reInvent. And by the way, now Amazon's cloud business has 175 different services that they can offer.
Had 164 last week, so this is a big deal.
They jumped. Code Guru, which interestingly works with Microsoft's GitHub, is a automated intelligence code review service. Wow. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff. So Amazon really feels like they're on the march.
When in the process of Amazon did they discover
AWS?
The business of AWS and how big it could be?
They launched AWS in 2005. They launched S3. That was their first service, which was really simple storage.
Right.
They proposed it. So I actually know the guys who proposed it. I think it was in 2004. But think about Amazon from day one, and I didn't mean that as that's their thing. Their services business. And so when they decided to build a cloud service, I think they recognized the trend, because back in 2005 when they were doing this, the big trend was HP and IBM talking about grid computing and autonomic computing. That's what they called it. And they called it instantly provisioned computing. So that was already a trend that was happening, but it still took like a week to get that computing provisioned. So when AWS came up and said, you know what, we're going to spin this up right away, because how much of this do you really want to know? Because I could go on about this forever.
There's a great a great story about it in the Everything Store, the book about Amazon. Andy Jassy, who's the CEO, says it started at an executive retreat in 2003 at Bezos's house. They were doing an exercise identifying the company's core competencies, and as they went through them, they realized, you know what, we're actually pretty good at infrastructure services. We understand compute and storage and database. What's more, he says they'd become highly skilled at running reliable, scalable, cost-effective data centers, because that's what they had to do for themselves. Right. It was at that point, Jassy says, without even fully articulating it, they started to formulate the idea of what AWS could be, and they wondered, is there a business here providing the infrastructure we had to make for ourselves?
Like a happy accident.
To other people. In retrospect...
Was Werner Vogel's core to this?
I don't know.
He's definitely he became close to it, if not immediately. I mean, I remember talking to Werner about it in like 2006, and he was pretty tight up on it.
They didn't have exactly an aha moment, according to Jassy, but they started to think about it as an operating system of sorts for the internet. So it took them 3 years from that moment at the
which is
retreat.
nothing, really.
Yeah, to roll
Something
it out.
that became this huge.
I know that the guys who, Jesse and I'm trying to think of Ben and I feel like it was Chris, did the original memo, because you know how you have to pitch a product with Amazon with one memo, and I've seen that. But yeah, so, and it's not true. They actually didn't run Amazon stuff on AWS for a long time. They launched AWS. It wasn't the same thing that was Amazon's backend for a while. So that's a common misconception.
Yeah. I mean, here's a picture in Computer World of, in 2002, quote, Amazon Web Service launching, but it really was a service that they offered companies so that they could incorporate Amazon.com on their own site. So that wasn't real. It was just embedding Amazon on their sites. It wasn't until 2006 that, as you say, S3 and EC2 came out. So what a success story, huh? It reminds me a little bit. I always think about CompuServe, which was a very early online service created by H&R Block when one of their people observed, our computers are real busy during the day around April, and then it gets pretty slow at night, and the rest of the time we probably could that was what timeshare. Probably timeshare that. And
but they still needed maximum capacity at a certain point of the year, so they couldn't. It wasn't like they really had spare capacity.
Yeah, I wonder how they handled that. Like April 15th, did CompuServe get really slow? I don't remember. I was a big CompuServe user in those days. I don't really remember that. You think 714351134. I used to remember it. 71355135. 5156, comma 5156.
Never used
You're
it.
too young.
Never used
Only
it.
Jeff and I are old enough to remember CompuServe. And Genie, did you use
Heard of it,
Genie?
No. Genie was for wusses.
For
wusses?
Did you use MCI mail?
words.
Remember in the
Yes,
early
I
days of
did.
email, you couldn't email everybody, just other people on MCI.
Wow.
The first internet ad, I sold the first internet ad at Advanced Publications to MCI.
Wow. Whatever, does MCI exist even?
I just remember MCI being.
It was where
for
Vince Cerf
phones.
was.
I believe it was for
Was he at
phones.
MCI? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, before MCI.com, Verizon.
So here's how Facebook decided to handle Thanksgiving. They created a chat bot called Liam Bot. That name's already taken. It's a bot that dissects Apple iPhones for recycling. But okay. So to teach employees what to say if friends or family ask difficult questions about the company over the holidays. And so there's all these canned answers.
Oh boy.
So, for instance, if a relative says, well, how does Facebook handle hate speech? Liam would say Facebook consults with experts on the matter. It's hired more moderators to police its content. It's working on AI to spot hate speech. Regulation is important for addressing the issue.
Do they have like contacts in their eyes that just scroll this information?
Memorize this. Have you been?
It's all coming in the chip in your head.
Yeah.
When Uncle Leo
Yes.
says it just
what
talks to you.
what? Oh yes. So have you been watching the new Silicon Valley, Jeff?
Oh, is it back? Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it's
back. No, I haven't.
I haven't watched the last one.
First 3 episodes are really funny, especially the guy with. Have you seen these products? It's a chair you strap to your hind side.
Yeah.
You could sit down.
We
anywhere.
had on the show.
Yeah.
We had on the show.
Oh,
yeah.
the exoskeleton thing.
Yeah. It's just a chair, and there's a character that's hysterical.
Perfect.
Yeah, but then it kind of starts to lose its way a little bit, and then it gets better again with Rust Fest.
See, that's where I'm at. I haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah,
That was a teaser for me.
It's a mixed bag. Kara Swisher has a massive role in one of the episodes. Did you see the Kara Swisher episode?
That was right before the Rust Fest.
She
one.
can act, it turns out.
Yeah, I still like.
I don't think it's an
Guilfoyle.
act.
Guilfoyle is still.
I think I'm trying to remember. Somebody's on the. I guess the CEO of Pied Piper's on the stage.
What's the name was on there too?
Oh no!
Wojcicki was
Susan
mentioned.
Wojcicki
She was
is mentioned. They couldn't apparently get Susan,
Right.
so Kara goes, "Well, thank you, Susan Wojcicki. That was a great presentation." And
Right.
now, and they bring on the woman who's the investor in Pied Piper. That's right. Good going, Kara.
Speaking of TV, did you see? I put it on the rundown. The kerfuffle over the Peleton dystopian commercial.
Yeah.
I didn't bother clicking on it. That's been in my Twitter feed, for.
I watched the commercial.
Look at that picture. It's dystopian.
I'm a Peloton user, so and I saw the commercial. It's a little sexist.
Remember the cult, are we? Yeah, it's a bit sexist. Yes,
because she is a mother and a wife who apparently was gifted a Peloton.
Okay.
And shoots selfie videos.
Now I'm mad at
of
you.
her.
Given. Gift is not a verb. Damn it.
Gifted? You can't say gifted.
Neither,
No, I hate
neither
that.
is partnered.
Drives me
But people
nuts.
say it all the time.
Neither is what?
She is presented.
Partnered.
Gifted means you actually are smarter than the average bear. I should have said given. Thank you.
Given. Yes.
Sorry.
I'm a pedant.
Okay, but you were saying she was given a Peloton
She was
stopped.
presented
I can't-
a
presented
Peloton.
with a Peloton. Was it by her husband? I don't remember.
as a gift.
And then
Yes.
she shoots video of her getting leaner, meaner, and sexier, and how much she loves her Peloton. I mean, that's kind of what ads are. Ads are by nature that way.
Oh, you're in the cult, aren't you?
I am.
What's the difference
Peloton.
between that and the
Good.
people in the gym doing
Right.
videos
Right.
and showing
Peloton.
themselves?
Right. Yeah, and I should point out, as Dr. Morbius says at the beginning, she's already thin and fit at the beginning, so she didn't
Yeah.
really, she didn't really need.
But she looks sad and frightened.
Is that frame grab? I don't even it doesn't stay
Look at
on
that. Look at that.
That's just
She's
a
frightened
frame
to death.
grab. I don't know.
Dystopian is that Black Mirror episode where they had to be on the bikes to power the whatever and hoped
Right.
for their
That
game
was
show appearance.
creepy. Yeah. She's just. I'm not gonna play the audio. That's how she looks. She's got her eyes are knitted, and I don't know. It's not a terrible ad. I don't know.
Were people upset because the husband gave her a gift, or is it she just looks?
Yeah, and the husband said, you could use a little weight, honey, was the implication.
Jeez.
That's not.
Well, that's a dumb husband right there. That is what that is. My husband, I had to ask for my Fitbit in writing twice before I got one.
Man.
He wanted plausible deniability
you from any accusations.
Yes, exactly. All right. First, we lose Grumpy Cat. Then we lose Keyboard Cat twice. I'm sad to say Lil Bub has passed away peacefully in her sleep at the age of 8.
Lil Bub.
She was cheerful and full of love, writes her owner, Mike Brodavsky, lying on our bed with us late Saturday night, but unexpectedly passed away peacefully in her sleep. Little Bub is gone.
We still have Baby Yoda.
Maybe if they'd given her a Peloton. Yeah, Baby Yoda.
We still have Baby Yoda though. So.
Baby Yoda.
It will be the next thing, a cat Peloton. Yeah,
Peloton.
I know.
Stacey, you're going to have to explain this to me because I'm too dumb to know what this means. T-Mobile has launched its 5G, but it's not millimeter wave.
I want Stacey to explain this. Thank you. Yes.
It's 600 megahertz 5G. We won't be able to use it for a couple more days. And what's weird is I have a phone that has a 600 megahertz antenna, the iPhone 11. But apparently you have to have a Samsung 5G or a OnePlus 5G to use it.
So 4 people can use it.
Is that because
That's because of the MIMO, the massive multi-MIMO.
Oh,
so you have to have the right software and the right antenna structure to get the massive capacity.
Got it.
So this spectrum is going to be a little bit different. Do you want to know or not?
Yes.
How nerdy should I be, y'all?
Get nerdy.
Super nerdy.
Please,
Okay. Nerdy with it.
Okay, so the 600 megahertz spectrum is we've got, I think Verizon and AT&T are using 700 megahertz to deliver LTE. Okay. So with 5G, the 3GPP standard, so the cellular standard, the way it gets max capacity, so like that super gigabit capacity, is because you've got large chunks of spectrum, like 100 megahertz wide chunks of spectrum, and you just flood all of that, and that's where your capacity is coming from. So when you're on the 34 gigahertz spectrum, that's divided into these 100 megahertz blocks. Down at the 600 megahertz, 700 megahertz, those spectrum blocks are usually 10 or 20 megahertz wide. So you have fewer lanes of traffic to deliver capacity, and so you may not see your gigabit speeds. Okay. So that's why the spectrum. Now, what T-Mobile's doing is what you're going to see AT&T do later when they start, and there's a reason for it. It's because that lower spectrum, the 600 megahertz, that goes through walls really well, whereas the upper level spectrum doesn't. So you can be in the open air and get super, super fast capacity, or you can be like have the coverage. So there's the capacity versus coverage trade-off that's happening. Did that make sense?
It does.
Okay, awesome.
But
so is this going to be faster?
I don't know if it'll be fast. I mean, it could be faster than LTE. It really depends on how they.
Yeah, T-Mobile's warning people it could be, but it might not be.
It probably won't be. I mean, the issue is if you've only got 20 megahertz of spectrum, you're never going to be able to deliver the super capacity if anyone else is on the network, right? So if you're the only person on that network, sure, yeah, you'll probably get it faster, but you're probably not going to get the gigabit speed.
The benefit of 600 megahertz, because it's a longer bandwidth, it travels better. It's
wavelength.
Wavelength. I'm sorry. It travels better, so it gets through walls. It works a bit. Millimeter wave does not, because it's in the gigahertz spectrum, and so that's going to just really bounce off of anything, piece of paper. So, 600 megahertz. I guess I would imagine in the final deploy you'll see both.
You're going to see both in the final deployment, but for now, in the lower megahertz, again, is coverage. So you can have your you'll have your coverage everywhere, inside, outside, whatever. And the fatter wavelength will be speed capacity.
But if it's not faster, then what's the point?
But so
is it lower latency? Is there some advantage
so
to
there's
it?
Okay, so 5G does have lower latency. There's also cost savings to the carrier. Like you can still cram more bits in a hertz,
well,
right?
I'm glad it's cheaper for T-Mobile, but what do we get?
Well,
right.
So Well, that's good because, I mean.
Oh yeah, they'll lower the prices.
Well, no, you still. With 5G, you're going to see a boost in so all of your cellular data plans. There's something called Shannon's Law, which says you can only cram so many bits per hertz, right? So this 5G is more efficient than LTE. So that's slightly more. So it'll be better. I mean, that's better technically for the carriers, but that's also good for you.
Right.
And then the latency is millisecond level latency as opposed
good.
like single digit millisecond level latencies in tests.
So should I buy a 5G phone today? I want my McLaren edition. No.
I would wait another year. 2020 feels like a good year to buy a 5G phone.
Yeah.
And we are going to see some battery compromises, I imagine. It's very complex because everything is going to be software defined, both on your handset and at the carrier level. So this is going to be a really rough transition, I think.
This isn't something where T-Mobile is moving all of its customers there. This is just an additional option for people that have the type of hardware to be able to pick up that signal.
Yeah, and I imagine you'll be kind of like a little early beta tester too, because they don't want to you don't want everybody on an iPhone. Remember when the iPhone came out and AT&T's 3G network was just slammed?
Right.
No one wants to go through that again. So T-Mobile's going to do this for like the 8 people who have the compatible phones, see what happens, and it's a smart move.
Okay.
They're really the first to roll it out nationwide. There've been small installations for Verizon and AT&T all over the country, but this is, and AT&T has also misrepresented its 4G as 5GE. But this is really, isn't this the first nationwide deployment of any 5G technology?
Yeah, well, especially, yes, and the reason why is because they're using their 600 megahertz spectrum. I can't remember, I can't remember what they cleared, if that was their 2G or whatever, but they cleared some spectrum for this.
Yeah. And I remember John Ledger, the Outbound CEO, saying, "Oh, good news! The iPhone 11 does 600 megahertz, but apparently it doesn't have the right antennas, so
not yet.
It doesn't really matter." Boy, there's a lot more to talk about. I kind of thought it'd be fun, but we don't have time. We're going to take a break. But I
can just leave.
Don't leave. No. Stay where you are. We want to get Stacey's pick. But we will talk about other things. We have to save some stories for next time.
This is true.
Yeah. Right?
We can do that.
Aunt Pruitt is here. Jeff Jarvis, Stacey Higginbotham at the airport. Our show today brought to you by Metallic, a Commvault venture. Metallic brings you powerful enterprise-grade backup and recovery technology, but it's a SaaS product. So it's simple, it's easy to install, easy to use. And since Metallic's built on Commvault's core technology, you're guaranteed to get fast, secure backups and granular restores that help you fight data loss. Metallic is unique. It scales across multiple workloads while mitigating the risk of data loss, security threats, and other issues. Even something like as simple but as important as losing access to your Microsoft 365 data, or just bad performance in your backups. Metallic offers default storage available through Azure, but you can also bring your own. It has the capability to do backup recovery and migration from on-prem all the way up to the cloud. Some of the Metallic products include Metallic Core Backup and Recovery that lets you protect physical and virtual servers on-prem and in the cloud with comprehensive backup and recovery for VMware, file servers on Windows and Linux, and Microsoft SQL databases. There's also, I love this, Metallic Office 365 backup and recovery. In a lot of businesses, you have a legal requirement to retain all these emails. So protect your mailboxes, your contacts, your calendar items, whether they're in SharePoint Online, Exchange Online, or OneDrive, along with unlimited Azure storage and unlimited retention as long as you need it. There's also Metallic Endpoint backup and recovery, because who doesn't have laptops out there in the world? Protect your desktop and laptop data against deletion, corruption, malicious attacks. You could secure the data with encryption. You get geolocation so you know where your data lives. And I guess it's pretty important, remote wipe capabilities as well. With Metallic, you'll be up and running quickly. That's the whole beauty of SaaS, as little as 15 minutes, and you'll get simpler data protection operations with less downtime, seamless scaling, no big upfront investment. So it's easy to try, easy to stay with. Safeguard your data now with Metallic. They'll give you consistency, flexibility, and the scalability of a cloud platform. Whether you're protecting a terabyte or 1,000, safeguard your data now and later with all the benefits with SaaS with Metallic, a Commvault venture. Sign up for a free 45-day trial at our special address. You got to go to metallic.io/twig, metallic.io/twig. And for a limited time through December 31st, 2019, with a 1-year commitment, you get your first 3 months free. Metallic at metallic.io/twig. Stacey, what's your thing? Oh, she's muted.
No,
I
my
think-
fault. She's doing the meeting.
Nope. I'm sorry. I think Karsten picked something for me. I was going to do something different, but now I'm reading this
Stacey,
article.
we should mention, is on her way down here to our studios, because tomorrow we're going to do our holiday special with Stacey. We're going to have Mary Jo Foley, who was here earlier today, and
For
Lori
whom
Gill.
you wore a tie.
I
Never
dressed
for
up.
us.
I like to impress. Dress for the job you want, not the job you got. And
He
Lori
wants
Gill.
to host with Mary Jo Foley.
I do.
don't
That's
blame
the
him.
job. She dressed pretty nice too. I think there's something
She
going
did.
on. Yeah. So
She cleans up better than you do.
Karsten sent you a very good article all about your favorite beverage.
Yes, and I will say I just had, this is not my pick of the week, but I just had a wonderful gin.
It could be a few hours.
In Victoria. It was the Tofino Old Growth Cedar Gin, and it was
Wow.
delicious. It tasted like the rainforest. No, it was good. My pick of the week is actually not a smart product. I if you were following my Twitter this week, and I received mine, and I didn't pack it because it's freaking heavy, but this is the Illuminati. Oops,
Wow.
spelled it wrong.
Wow.
So the
Help me, Illuminati. You're my
is
only
a-
door.
It's an
knob.
indoor doorknob. So,
Okay.
and it has a motion sensor on it and a light. And when you
Oh.
get close to it, it casts this very beautiful
Oh.
light pattern. And this has no functionality. My editor, when I was writing about it last week, was like, "What does it do?" I'm like, "It's just pretty, just pretty."
It's a light.
So
Ish.
it's a fun thing. It glows. It can light up a room a little bit if you want it to, like, so you can find the light at the door or something,
I like
or in
this.
the bathroom.
That's
but I like
useful.
If the room fills with smoke and you need to get out quick. Now, I got to say, the only thing I don't like about this is so high tech, but a knob is the worst possible design for a doorknob. Because if your hands are wet or slippery, you can't grasp it. I like a
And
lever. I like a lever doorknob. Do they make a lever?
They don't,
Or
because
lever.
the doorknob. I
Lever?
mean, this is how this
Make a-
casts.
Can they gift me with a lever? I want a lever, man. You say
And this is a
lever,
very
really,
slick-
Jeff?
Say
Do you say
lever.
lever? It's a lever.
Jeff, do you?
It's a lever.
Oh Lord.
Lever.
Anyway, so this is the product. It's $50. It's going to be for a limited time. It's just kind of an experiment they're doing, and I thought it was fun, and I
It's
bought
good,
it.
but my
and
cat can't open
First
the door.
pronunciation is lever. Second is lever.
Well, I'm number one then. How do you pronounce Illuminati?
That's
Wait,
it.
wait. All right.
This dude.
You're so clever to leave her. All right. Actually, Lever Brothers, right? And Shearson Lehman. No, that's not related. We're going to have some special locally brewed gin just for you tomorrow, Stacey.
Ooh,
Our
I'm excited.
Our local ginnery, and I've hired a attractive young man to make the cocktails.
Not me.
That makes
Not
me
me.
really uncomfortable, but
Well, he's attractive to me. That's all I'm saying. I think
Stacey,
he's
Stacey,
cute.
did you pack your boxing glove?
is he fully clothed?
Yes, he's not
Please don't-
not wearing assless chaps or nothing. He's a bartender. He's,
Okay.
although,
I'm
now that I think of it, no, because what we wanted to do is, because each of you have a different beverage that you like. You're a gin drinker. I believe Lori Gill is a brown liquor
Whiskey.
girl. She likes her whiskeys. And Mary Jo, of course, drinks beer, and we've got a great brewery over here. So we figured we were going to have a bartender. He'll be mixing them up. And we're also going to serve Paul Thurrott's invention, the Patch Tuesday.
Oh, the Patch Tuesday.
Yeah,
one.
actually, it's his wife's invention, Stephanie's invention, which is a delicious whiskey sour-like beverage. So we will have plenty to imbibe. And then, of course, we're doing the show 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 UTC. You can watch us do it live. It'll air. It'll ship December 22nd. We want to give the staff time off for the holidays. But I also want to point out that our company Christmas party is immediately after.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So get really drunk.
Yeah. Call a lift.
Company parties, you're coming, right?
I will be
You
there.
better be there. We're counting on you. Jeff, if you want to fly out, you're more than welcome. Have
He's
we
like,
ever?
no.
We brought you out one year, didn't we?
Yeah, I came out for New Year's.
Yeah, that's right.
You shaved
Kept
his
me
head
up
or
all
something.
night and shaved me.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I kept him up all night and shaved you.
But I got to watch him getting a tattoo on his rump, which,
Yeah.
I mean, how can you beat that?
You know what? You know
yeah.
what's weird? I still have it. Aren't they supposed to wear off after?
But you don't ever see it, right?
No, only Lisa. And
Lisa
every time
sees
she
it,
sees it, she goes,
Thank goodness only her.
Jeff, do you have a number for us?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm like Karsten here. Oh, geez, I'm behind.
Push that button.
Hold
You got
on. Yes, I do.
four
Yes, I
of
do.
them,
Yes,
I
I do.
see.
Google top popular gifts of 2019.
Oh,
I
let's
think that's a
do
good
it.
one.
The top 10 gifts of 2019.
2019.
Here we go. Number 10. The Grinning Kid from Toddlers and Tiaras, the
I
reality
used
show
it just this week.
about child beauty pageants. I've not seen it. Here's Medea, Tyler Perry's Medea. A confused moment from Castle.
That's
I
good.
do that all the time. Will Smith looking surprised. Is this from Fresh Prince? This is the young Will Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, snap!
I am so proud.
He's another moment of surprise. This from the movie Ted. If you ever see these, you'll now know where these come from.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. And Will Ferrell from Elf feeling upset. He's saying, "No! No!" A laughing minion from Despicable Me. He spits out his popcorn. Stitch from Lilo and Stitch having a bad day. Oh, that's sad. Do you ever use that,
You
Stacey?
could whimper.
I do not.
Jim Carrey from Liar Liar feeling frustrated. And another Stitch. I guess Stitch gets twice on the Lilo and Stitch.
Lots of credit.
Get twice. Okay. That is really not worth the time.
I have used that
we spent
one.
on it.
Sorry.
Have you?
I'm so glad.
So you're a memer.
I use them.
I
Yeah,
deploy
use
the.
them.
I love a good GIF.
I use these. I use them, but none of these. None of these.
What is your pick of the week, Anthony Pruitt?
Clemson Life. Clemson Life. I was thinking about this here recently.
Clemson Life?
Clemson Life. Yeah, because for me, I was having a discussion with the kids about college.
Yes.
And I've gotten to the point now
It's time.
I can't really push college on them anymore.
Why not? There's no guarantee of employ.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's a feasible thing depending on what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know. But when thinking about this, we thought about some friends back home where they have children that they want them to get the college experience, but they have intellectual disabilities. And we told them that Clemson Life is an opportunity, and they went and checked it out and
So
signed
this is how
up.
you learn what it would be like to be a student at Clemson.
Yep.
Nice.
And they give them a nice educational experience.
Are they
help them
honest?
with life skills.
Given your experience, is this
legit.
honest?
It's legit.
They don't mention the drinking parties, the hazing.
I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there.
I remember my son went to CU Boulder, and
Mm-hmm.
they sold it as a great academic experience.
Yeah, I heard all about Boulder.
Oh, what
Heard
a
all
party
about
school that
Boulder.
is. You wouldn't say Clemson's a party school.
Clemson has his issues. I'm not going to deny that.
All
Clemson has
colleges
its
are.
issues.
Jeff knows this. It's when people go to college, they let their hair down. So
Well, see, and that was my discussion
that's,
with,
by the way,
with
where
my
your hair
boys.
went. You left it there.
What?
No, sorry.
No. That was part of my discussion with the boys. Was I I would like for them to go to college just for the experience, because when I went, it helped me, further develop skills with just being on my own.
Yes, it's a halfway house.
Right, and just learning what I need to do on my own, and needing to be responsible and not necessarily call on mom and dad and stuff like that.
It's a very expensive halfway house.
And but at the same time, I like the fact that Clemson is offering packages up for intellectual disabled kids and
that's
getting
great.
them down there, and that's
that's great.
And that's what Clemson Life is all about.
Oh, that's nice.
Is having those kids. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
let's say differently abled.
Because
one of the things that we see, and I have some experience with this, with a lot of these kids are smart and deserve to go to college. But they need different kinds of scaffolding to help them get through it.
Right, different guidance.
Yeah,
and they have live-in assistants.
I got to find out more about that.
So they get an apartment just like any other college student. But again, it's all sort of geared to.
It's time to say goodbye to Stacey Higginbotham. Her plane is leaving. We'll see you in a little bit.
Yes.
Have a great flight. She's got
see you tomorrow.
2.5 minutes to pee. Bye.
And. But
That's so I didn't realize this. It's for kids who have some learning challenges. Very good.
It's really nice. And even we have a guy named David Seville that's part of our football team, and he's part of Clemson Life. But he's one of the most popular people in the organization because of his energy and because of his experience with Clemson Life. He's been a great ambassador for the program with letting people know that, hey, your kids are going to be here and they're going to be safe. And they're going to learn life skills from beyond high school and beyond college life.
I love this idea because everybody deserves a collegiate experience,
Like I said, I can't push it on my kids as far as, hey, you need to go to college to learn A, B, C, D. But I do like the fact that you can go there to help broaden your adult skills.
I think more schools are doing this now. I think this is getting more common, which I think is.
I argued in what would Google do. I argued that you should separate the college into different experiences. And you separate the growth process of becoming an adult from the educational process, and they don't have to be the same place.
That's right.
I didn't go to Clemson University. I went to Wingate University, and my first memory was closing the door and watching my mother, my then girlfriend, and my grandmother drive out of the parking lot.
That is a tough moment.
For the very first time.
That's a tough moment.
It got real.
Yeah.
Real
quick.
Yeah. I'm on my own.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I'd like to advocate that.
When my parents left Claremont, I stopped shaving and grew a beard.
I was 16 years old when I went to college, and my parents dropped me off at the airport in San Francisco and said, good luck. Here's your bag. Here's your ticket. I hope it all works out.
Got real, man.
In hindsight, I look at that and go, that was an odd thing to do, because I remember the difficulty of dragging my trunk up the steps, and I was all alone.
Life got real, man.
Yeah, it got real quick.
Jesus, for my daughter, we have a caravan of SUVs to carry the stuff to her room when she was in college.
It's funny, when we, of course, when I brought my daughter, our firstborn, to college, her mother and I and her brother Henry, we all went out to Bard. We all got a hotel room. We stayed there for a couple of nights. And Abby, she tried to get me to sign a contract that said, after you drop me off at the dorm, you will leave within 15 minutes.
Wow. Jeez.
And she meant it.
Smart
she said,
child.
okay, no, mom's trying to make the bed and get her on position. Nope. She turned around, pushed her out the door. So Jennifer and I were reduced to driving around the campus for the next 2 days looking for her, wondering if she was having a good time. She was happy to get rid of us.
My mom's and my grandmother, they came in and they, wiped down the room and all of that.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there was like,
bye.
We'll see you, dude.
Pendulum swings. You'll probably move in with the boys for a couple of weeks. I want to point out that YouTube has an interesting tweet today. Actually, it was yesterday. I don't know. Do you remember the rewind last year with the bus, the Fortnite bus?
Yeah, it was a little weak.
People thought it was terrible.
It was weak.
Apparently, YouTube is acknowledging. So the meme that they posted on Twitter has a picture of a highway sign, 2018 rewind straight ahead, and then in the off ramp, something different for real And then the car below it, YouTube, this is a meme, screech, pulling off. So apparently they're saying, yeah, we blew it last year.
We figured it out.
And now for something completely different.
Well, there's been a big Reddit movement to not to basically sign a pledge not to watch YouTube Rewind for the first 24 hours at least.
Oh. Was PewDiePie? I don't think he was in the Rewind last year.
That's a lot.
That's a part of the problem.
A lot of
in fact,
who's behind it.
Here's PewDiePie's animated GIF reaction. Wait a minute. It's not so animated.
What the
maybe he's in it this time because that was posted by YouTube as well.
I'm pretty sure I won't watch it.
Yeah. It just makes me feel old. I watch it and I don't know anybody in it.
Can't relate.
And I just go, well,
my hard heads will watch it and will relate, but
they'll know. That's what you got to do is sit down with them. In fact, can I come over and borrow your boys?
Anytime.
So they could tell me who these people are. Jeff Jarvis, professor of journalism.
Can I plug something real quick?
Yes.
In a half an hour, I'll be doing an info session for the social journalism program at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism. If you go to my Twitter feed, the link is on top. If you're at all interested in blowing up journalism and changing it and doing it at the center of the damned universe in New York, please click on the link and come in. I'll answer any questions you have in a half an hour.
So if you're in Manhattan, get on over there to Times Square.
Well, no, it's Zoom. No. So if you're anywhere
you don't
in
have
the
to be
world,
anywhere. Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm at home. I'm not Manhattan. Well, I'm in the house. I gotta leave.
This is how much I pay attention. I thought you just walked out your door and you were there. Okay. All right. Can't do that. He's in New Jersey. So, cool. That's the Town Night Center for
entrepreneurial
journalism at the City University of New York.
The Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York.
Thank you. I knew it was something like that. Thank you, Jeff. Have a great night, and we will see you next week
you
on
too.
Twig. Thanks to Aunt Pruitt. Catch Hop,
hey,
all of Ant's work. Of course, he's here every week with us on This Week in Google.
Yep.
And you were taking a bunch of pictures earlier. You got something in the.
I posted some on our Instagram as well as on the twit.tv Instagram. There's just little shots of you and Miss Mary Jo Foley was here.
It was so exciting. So you're helping out with the social media effort.
Just not really. She does a great job.
Masako is a fantastic.
I just couldn't help but to shoot. It's Mary Jo Foley. I know. No disrespect to you, but
well, what am I? Chopped liver. Thank you for joining us on Twig this week. We do it every Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 21:30 UTC. You can watch us stream live or listen, because we have audio streams as well, at twit.tv/live. If you want an on-demand version of the show, go to twit.tv/twig. Best thing to do, subscribe in your favorite podcast app. That way you get it automatically the minute it's available. Don't forget our forum. Ant and I are both pretty present in there, and many of other hosts. It's twit.tv/community, and of course our chat room at irc.twit.tv. Tomorrow 2 p.m. I was going to say, is there anything else we can talk about? Tomorrow 2 p.m. Our holiday show.
I'll be sitting right over there.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Beverages will be provided, and don't forget a very important triangulation on Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. Denise Howell will be interviewing Ed Felton, who is a professor at Princeton of computer science, but also a security researcher. He is, and his team at Princeton were the team that discovered problems with voting machines early on. He is, it's a professor of computer science and public affairs. He will have a lot to talk about, security-wise, voting machine-wise.
He was Obama's CTO.
Oh, he was also the CTO. That's right. I forgot about that. Ed Felton. Robert Kahn, professor of computer science and public affairs at Princeton, will join Denise Howell on Friday, 11:30 Pacific. That's 2:30 Eastern. That's 18:30 UTC. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And we will see you next time on Twig. Bye-bye.